Discord translating novice. Master resides in the main house of the Qingmun clan. Being part of the main house of the Qingmun clan, a family that values the Tao of combat, meant one had to be within the top 50 in the immortal combat meeting. It also implied that Master was in one of the most crucial positions in the Qingmun clan. For an ordinary clan, a nobody like me suddenly meeting an elder in one of the most important positions of the clan would be nearly impossible. Of course, that's if it were an ordinary clan. Applicants for the training conference led by the Qingmun clan, please come this way. The Qingmun clan, following in the footsteps of their founder Sir Changho, revered the Tao of combat. Apart from the immortal combat meeting organized for the Qingmun clan members, they gathered Qi refining cultivators every few years for a training conference, a sparring competition to recruit external clan members. The winner, runner-up, and third place of the training conference would all enter the Qingmun clan as external members, while other finalists would gain the right to become the family's lower-ranking cultivators. But the most important thing was that the winner of the training conference could make a small wish to the Qingmun clan, such as meeting a Qi-building elder for a brief time to receive teachings. Your registration is complete. Next. I approached the registration desk and said to the officer, "My name is Seo Yunhyan, origin from Byokra, Chinsik City. My cultivation is Qi refining 9th star of the 5 elements. I am practicing an earth attribute method." Qi refining 9th star. The officer looked at me with surprise. He was an external member of the Qingmun clan at the Qi refining 6th star. "No, senior, with your level, you don't need to participate in the training conference. Just apply for the external member recruitment and pass the interview, you'll be accepted right away." Most lower-ranking Qi refining cultivators were around the 2nd or 3rd star, and most external members were between the 4th and 9th star. Cultivators above that level were treated almost like blood relatives by the Qingmun clan. Before the Ascension Gate opened, Qi refining cultivators were common across the continent, and being at the 9th star was considered ordinary. But now, with many powerful cultivation sects ascending to higher realms, cultivators have become rare, and even being at the 9th soft Qi refining is highly regarded. The typical winners of the training conference were usually Qi refining cultivators of the 5th or 6th star. But now, a heavy hitter like me had appeared. As I looked around, I could feel the other participants coughing and avoiding my gaze. Haha, it seems that those who are new to the Qingmun clan registration desk get quite confused. Let me guide you to the right place. No, it's fine. I have always admired the Qingmun clan's training conference. Please allow me to participate. But I know that anyone can participate in the training conference hosted by the Qingmun clan, except for Qi-building cultivators. The officer, troubled by my insistence, despite the difficulty of my participation, sighed and registered me. I could see the varying thoughts of the other cultivators around me. As I stepped out of the registration area and left the building, I heard a sigh of relief from inside. That's a nasty character. He's just going to trample over the juniors and enter the Qingmun clan. How can we beat a Qi refining 9th star? Shouldn't we just give him a bye? Unfortunately, even outside my area of consciousness, I could hear their complaints and frustrations, as my hearing had become sensitive after rejuvenation and forming the inner core. I'm sorry about this. Typically, an ordinary external member wouldn't meet a Qingmun clan elder unless they make significant contributions. But as the winner of the training conference, it is a different story. Besides, I don't plan to join the Qingmun clan in this life. Not all winners of the training conference become external members. If I give up my eligibility, it will naturally go to someone else. Holding the participation plaque, I entered the Qingmun clan's territory to rest. 1 month later, the training conference was held. The winner Seo Yunhyan. And naturally, I won. There was no real battle to speak of. The participants at the Qi refining 2nd or 3rd star gave up as soon as they met me. Cultivators at the 4th and 5th stars couldn't withstand a single strike from me. Cultivators at the 6th star of Qi refining, who have achieved the 8 trigrams completed path, could only somewhat match me in a contest of spells, but they still lost due to the overwhelming difference in spiritual power. Now, I was capable of overpowering lower-level Qi refining cultivators with sheer strength. I wish those at the 2nd and 3rd stars had challenged me more bravely. The Qingmun clan might have offered them a position after the competition. Looking at the chi-refining cultivators who conceded immediately upon facing me, I felt a bit of regret. Knowing the Qingmun clan's reverence for the Tao of combat, I am certain they would have appreciated even a show of fighting spirit. The winner of the competition is granted an official recommendation to become an external member of the Qingmun clan in one wish. If a chi-refining cultivator makes a fitting wish, the clan will surely grant it. Do you have anything in mind? The person overseeing the competition was Qingmun Buck, whom I had met before. I told Qingmun Buck that I wished to meet and receive teachings from Qingmun Ryong. Qingmun Ryong, you say? He's my cousin, and indeed, there's no one better than him in basic spells and formations. I would like to return the recommendation for external membership. Elixir refining, artifact refining, and formations are the three arts Qingmun Ryong is the leader of. Wait, what did you say? Qingmun Buck's eyes widened in disbelief. Entering this competition, my intention was to meet Grandmaster Qingmun Ryong, an expert in basic spells and formations. Do you not understand the significance of becoming an external member of a cultivator clan? I understand perfectly, but there are people I must meet without being bound by the rules of a cultivator clan. I also needed to check on my disciples' well-being in the Jin clan. Being the winner, you'd normally have 1 hour to meet with Elder Ryong of the main family. If you become an external member, I can extend your meeting time to 3 hours. Still refuse. I apologize for declining your offer. Fine, have it your way. Qingmun Buck looked at me displeased, announced the second and third place of the competition, and declared that a smaller competition would be held in 2 days to award the recommendation I forfeited. A few days later, I entered the Qingmun clan's territory with Qingmun Buck. As I was not an external member, we met in a less significant territory rather than the main house. I followed Qingmun Buck to an old thatched house in the territory. The simple yet neat house seemed well suited to my master. Ryong, here's the one who requested to meet you. I'll leave him here, take care of it. I'm busy so I can't stay. Take care, brother. From inside the house, a familiar voice responded, and Qingmun Buck flew off on a flying artifact. I took a deep breath, knelt in front of the house and bowed deeply. What are you doing? Qingmun Ryong asked, sensing my actions through his consciousness. Smiling, I responded, I am honored to meet Grandmaster Qingmun Ryong, a pioneer in formations and basic spells. Slick talker, I don't like slick ones. Come in and let's see what you want to discuss. The door opened and I cautiously entered. He didn't look at me but was busy annotating a book. Even on the day we meet, he continues his routine work. Really, you haven't changed. What is it? Don't just stand there with a sour face. If you have something to ask, ask. I'm busy, so make it quick. Understood. I sat down and asked him about the things I didn't understand regarding the chi-refining 11th star of the 3 talents, the 12th star of yin-yang unity, and the 13th star of the One Origin. Qingmun Ryong, upon hearing my detailed questions, stopped annotating and looked at me. I'm not as shallow as you look. Let's address your questions. We discussed intensely for an hour. After an hour, Qingmun Ryong, who had the right to dismiss me, frowned and said, Let's add another hour. You seem to have a lot of curiosity. Another hour passed. Already an hour, I'll give you one more. Listen well. The concept of yin-yang unity is about. After 3 hours, he stroked his beard. Teaching so shortly like this won't do. I'll give you 3 more hours. If you don't understand by then, be prepared for discipline. Thus, I spent the entire night with Qingmun Ryong. The next morning, I feel somewhat relieved. Did you understand the theory? Thanks to the Grandmaster, I understood it well. I heard you refuse to become an external member of the Qingmun clan. With your understanding, you could have risen in the ranks and been treated as a quasi-blood relative. Even if you've learned the theory, applying it is different. If you became an external member, I can formally teach you. How about it? Qingmun Ryong was offering to be my master again. I smiled slightly and spoke. I appreciate your offer, Grandmaster. However, if I'm bound by the Qingmun clan's rules, there are people I will not be able to meet. Well, can't help someone who won't eat what's served. Go on, you should have at least grasped the theory by now. I stood up, bowed respectfully, and said, Teacher for a day, a father for a lifetime. Though today's lesson was brief, I will never forget your teachings. You're a fool. If you were really going to treat me as a father, you should have just joined the main house. Go on, I have no attachment or interest in you beyond today. After leaving Qingmun Ryong's house, I bowed once more towards his room and left the Qingmun clan's territory. A teacher for a day, a father for a lifetime. I will not forget you, master, even as I travel through the rivers of time repeatedly. I left the Qingmun clan's territory and headed towards the Jin clan's domain to check on Kim Young-hoon and my disciples. News about Kim Young-hoon was easier to find than expected. He was known as the Heaven Cutter. He was the one who beheaded the last emperor of the previous Makli dynasty, Makli Yong, and a founding contributor to the current Jin dynasty. Kim Young-hoon, after receiving various martial arts from me, seemed to have reached the ultimate pinnacle as in his previous life. Upon learning about the atrocities of the Makli clan and that killing Emperor Makli Yong would reduce these atrocities, he brazenly stormed the palace and beheaded the emperor. The Makli clan was furious, sending cultivators after him, but they were killed by Kim Young-hoon. Even chi-building cultivators died, and the Jin clan, recognizing his potential, decided to protect him. This was information I heard from a lower-ranking cultivator of the Jin clan. Senior, is the tea to your liking? Yes, it's quite good. In Byokra, I initially struggled to find the Qingmun clan's territory. But in Yangyo, having traveled extensively during my days in the martial world, I was familiar with various territories, including the Jin clan's main house. The only place I didn't know was the Makli clan's main house. This lower-ranking cultivator was someone I had a brief connection with during my days as chief advisor in the Wulin Alliance. Back then, he was someone who groveled before me and Kim Young-hoon, barely hanging on at the 36 heavenly gang decrees of the Chi refining second star. When he realized I had reached the 5 elements, he immediately bowed and called me senior, offering me tea. I asked him a few questions and learned about the recent events in Yangyo. So, where are you at in the 36 heavenly gang decrees? I'm currently consolidating the decree of heavenly ferocity. Do you have any difficulties understanding it? I shared detailed explanations about the 36 heavenly gang decrees and provided guidance on his difficulties. Initially interested, he soon showed signs of boredom and confusion, so I wrapped up the lecture. I'll stay here for a few days. Regarding Heaven Cutter, inform the Jin clan about my arrival. While I'm here, I'm willing to answer any questions regarding cultivation. Relieved, the Chi refining cultivator nodded and went to contact the Jin clan. I understood why my master valued me. Geniuses don't need his teachings, but those who do lack perseverance. I felt a tinge of bitterness. A few days later, Kim Young-hoon arrived. It's been a long time. It has indeed. After 40 years, we stood awkwardly for a moment. You seem to have become a cultivator, your consciousness and spiritual power. Yes, I've reached the middle-high level of chi refining. Good, this world is suited for cultivators. How have you been? There have been various events, but Kim Hyung no, Director Kim Young-hoon. I raised my hand, and a little star formed on top of my palm. Astonishment appeared in his eyes. Let's have a match. What kind of duel would it be, with both of us having reached the realm of ultimate pinnacle in martial arts? // Discord https://dsc gg/wetread. Link to donations in the Discord. Chapter 57, Heavenly Thunder 4. Discord translating novice. That is... Kim Young-hoon stared blankly at the gang sphere that had formed in my hand. Twitch. The whirlwind of formidable intent contained within the gang sphere. Realizing its significance, Kim Young-hoon trembled all over, his eyes bulging as he stared at me. Then he started to laugh. Staggering, he suddenly collapsed onto the ground, tears streaming down his face. His intent, incomparable to what I had seen before, was shining in a brilliant golden light. There was another, besides me, who has reached this realm. Whoosh! His intent blazed even brighter, resembling a sun in its intensity. However, I felt a chill run down my spine. The sun-like intent before me seemed like the jaws of a lion, ready to pounce at any moment. He is excited. Until now, I thought the martial world was filled with fools. The vast majority linger in the secondary stage of physical combat, and those with exceptional talent could only see intent in basic red and blue hues. At most, they reach the 3 flowers gather at the summit, seeing maybe 3, 4, or at best, a dozen colors of intent. I never expected anyone to reach the same realm as me. I desperately hoped that someone might reach the 5 energies converging to the origin, but Siarag crackle. Small stones and sand on the ground vibrated with energy. The lower-ranking cultivator of the Jin clan, sensing the ominous atmosphere, already flew far away. The realm of 5 energies converging to the origin, a stage that scarcely appears once every few hundred years across the continent. Yes, it's understandable since it's an enlightenment that overturns the inherent limits of one's birth, but it's always been so utterly empty. I tensed up. Kim Young-hoon is very excited. That means, even when fighting cultivators, it was only about matching levels. There was no one who could truly exchange martial prowess with me, no one who could fulfill my deep craving. Kim Young-hoon opened his right palm. From within his palm burst a star, and like me, a gang sphere appeared. Finally, I can resolve this grudge. With a brilliantly shining smile, he lifted the gang sphere. Whoosh! The gang sphere spun and split into 3. Then each of those 3 split again. 9 gang spheres. 9 gang spheres lined up behind Kim Young-hoon. Let's play. Whoosh! In an instant, Kim Young-hoon's figure vanished from before my eyes. There wasn't even a moment to read his intent. It was sheer speed. I instinctively ducked, driven almost entirely by reflex. Boom! The sound of breaking air echoed, and Kim Young-hoon's saber slightly trimmed my hair. Is he crazy, swinging at me with the intent to kill? Apparently, he lost his mind upon encountering someone of a similar level after 40 years of solitary existence. If it weren't for the reaction speed granted by the inner core, I would have been dead. Kim Young-hoon's intent was palpable. What are you doing playing around? Come at me properly. Whoosh! Suddenly, Kim Young-hoon's palm was right in front of me. Blinded by the dazzling light of the gang sphere targeting my head, his movements seemed choppy and hard to follow. Back in my past life, it was just a playful spar. Is this the power of an experienced master who has reached the ultimate pinnacle? I exerted all my internal energy to counter the gang sphere flying at me with my own. Light erupted, pushing us both back. Countless sword and saber scars sparked, creating a storm. I need to create some distance. I quickly formed another gang sphere and prepared for the next move. Fast. Aside from the fact that he could create 9 gang spheres at once, he was too fast for me to even react. It was a relief that Kim Young-hoon was using slow moves. If he had used his extremely fast moves, I might have been killed instantly. I need to get to a more isolated place, like a mountain valley. Then Kim Young-hoon's hand grasped my head. What? SSSSH. Boom! An immense force erupted from his palm, sending me flying far away. I was thrown from the manor where the chi-refining cultivator lived, away from the mortals, and crashed into a valley outside the city. Cough! I spat out a mouthful of blood and got up. If I hadn't instinctively used protective gang chi, my head would have been crushed. What's going on? It feels like time is being cut off. My reactions are. It's not just the effect of the inner core. There's something different about Kim Young-hoon. Thump. Just like before, Kim Young-hoon unnaturally appeared right before my eyes. It's as if a scene from a movie has been abruptly cut. This isn't like the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts, which cuts perception to create illusions. He's just solely too fast. He's moving so swiftly that even with my reaction speed at the ultimate pinnacle, his actions appear disjointed and impossible to follow. What the? What are you doing? Why aren't you reacting properly? Kim Young-hoon looked at me quizzically for a moment and then seemed to realize something, nodding his head. Ah, I see. You haven't been at this realm for very long. That's true. Well then, you're probably not adept to using the power of this realm. If you properly harness the power of this level, you can easily do this much. Now that I look at it, you're only managing 1 gang sphere at a time. He inhaled deeply, smiling as if enjoying himself. Well, this is more a matter of technique than talent. Once you learn it, you should be able to apply it easily. I'll teach you, so grow while sparring. Wait, I'm not. I wanted to say that I'm not a monster who grows during battle like him, but I had to hurriedly deploy defensive gang chi to block Kim Young-hoon's kick, coming at me with extreme speed. Boom! A giant rock behind me, about 3 meters in size, couldn't withstand the shockwave released and shattered into pieces. Don't worry, I'll teach you so you can grow. His intent echoes around me. I concentrate to the utmost to survive and enter the world of intent. At that moment, what? Why are there 10 Kim Young-hoons? I quickly alternate my focus between the real world and the world of intent. In reality, there is clearly only one Kim Young-hoon. But in the world of intent, there are 10 of him. This is. And in the place where Kim Young-hoon stood in the world of intent, there were gang spheres in reality. 1 Kim Young-hoon and 9 gang spheres. First of all, gang sphere isn't just a bomb to throw and explode. Thud. 10 Kim Young-hoons rush at me simultaneously. He seems to have controlled his speed, and this time our reaction speeds are similar. However, in the world of intent, 10 Kim Young-hoons vividly assault me. Even a single hit from one of them is dangerous. One is an ultimate pinnacle master, and the other 9 are gang spheres that could slice my body apart upon explosion. The biggest problem is that the gang spheres are also using intent to fight. It's as if 10 masters of equal level are surrounding and competing with me in the world of intent. Naturally, I'm overwhelmed in the battle of intent, and I allow Kim Young-hoon's punch through my guard. Thump. Gang sphere isn't just a compressed bomb of internal energy. It's another self, a split spirit. It's a stage far beyond dual energy sword control or dual energy saber control, where you input the next action into the weapon with your intent and consciousness. Here, you input your very self into it. That's why once you can handle one gang sphere, your combat power multiplies. We exchange blows. If I attack the lower body, 10 Kim Young-hoons stab at me from all directions, and while dealing with them, Kim Young-hoon's knee strikes my waist. If I thrust at the midsection, 10 Kim Young-hoons use different techniques to disrupt the flow of intent. In the meantime, the real Kim Young-hoon strikes my shoulder with the back of his blade. When I attempt to strike high, Kim Young-hoons from all around attack me, forcing me to hastily retreat. As I radiate intent, branches and pebbles rise around me. I imbue the branches and pebbles with energy, creating thousands of sword energies to counter the many Kim Young-hoons. Flash, flash, flash. A bright light sweeps through, and 9 of the Kim Young-hoons simultaneously explode. With a whirl of light, countless saber marks slice through my sword energies. Then, from behind the real Kim Young-hoon, another 9 Kim Young-hoons walk out again. In reality, he's drawing gang spheres from his hand, but in the world of intent, it's a completely different scene. Another self. Spontaneously, I extend my hand in the same manner as Kim Young-hoon, with a blank expression. Gang sphere also emanates from my palm. Simultaneously, another me emerged from behind, grasping the gang sphere that had burst forth from my palm. I understand. Somehow it all makes sense. Myself. Yes, if sword control involves inputting intent into a weapon for its next action, then gang sphere involves inputting myself into the gang chi. If I truly enter into within, then myself becoming another source of intent is also possible, is it not? Whoosh. My vision split. It felt as if my consciousness had been divided. I only had one consciousness, but now I feel as if I have 2. Simultaneously, my own figure became distinctly visible in the world of intent. In front of 10, Kim Young-hoon stood 2 of me. Their eyes sparkle with interest. So, are you getting the hang of it now? Indeed. I smile wryly and assume a fighting stance. The other me also took up a different fighting stance. This was more about technique and understanding the realm rather than talent. Thus, even I, lacking talent, managed to grasp it in such a short period. The situation of 10 against 1 and 10 against 2 will be quite different. Whoosh whoosh. The exchange of intents ensued, and so did the actual exchange of blows between me and Kim Young-hoon. Good, you seem to have grasped this much. Shall we move to the next stage? Kim Young-hoon's complexion seemed to burn with a golden light. Simultaneously, 1 Kim Young-hoon walked towards the original body and merged within. From a visual perspective, Kim Young-hoon had placed one of the surrounding gang sphere in his hand. Dangerous. The moment my instincts warned me, I didn't hesitate to leap into the air. Boom! A fan-shaped energy burst forth, cutting the spot I had been standing on and the trees beyond. It was as if, just like before, time had been cut off. And then Kim Young-hoon, who suddenly appeared in that spot, looked at me. Crash. Cough. Before I knew it, Kim Young-hoon's hand was clutching my face. I instinctively spread my protective gang chi, and Kim Young-hoon's foot kicked my stomach 3 times. Bang, boom, boom. Explosions resounded as I soared into the sky. Had I not used protective gang chi, my waist would have been gone. Puff! I pierced through the clouds. A sea of white clouds spread beneath me. But I had no time to appreciate the beautiful scenery as I focused my consciousness and spread my protective gang chi. Watch carefully. Boom! Once again, Kim Young-hoon, who suddenly appears in front of me, swings his saber. Clouds trail from behind. Considering your level, I've only doubled the speed. Kyuwang. He struck me down with his saber, and I plunged through the clouds back to the ground. If it wasn't for the reaction speed granted by my inner core, I wouldn't have lasted this long. Double the speed. I recalled the merging of 2 Kim Young-hoons. Clearly, he retrieved his consciousness inputted into the gang sphere. No, it's not just retrieval. Whoosh. Once again, Kim Young-hoon appears right above me, spinning in the air before striking down with his saber. I barely managed to block his strike with my sword. Boom! The ground of the mountain valley caves in, and spider web-like cracks form around it. I endured his attack while observing his movements in the world of intent. Not just retrieval, Kim Young-hoon wasn't moving alone. He was moving together with another. The 2 Kim Young-hoons were overlapping. Oh, I see. They were in sync. The 2 Kim Young-hoons synchronized their thoughts, doubling everything about themselves. Ahoy! I'm not a martial arts genius, so I don't gain incredible enlightenment or grow tremendously during a fight. However, I'm a master of martial arts. What Kim Young-hoon showed me was a technique applicable within the realm of the ultimate pinnacle. Being a master within the same realm, I could immediately understand such a technique through countless experiences. Come on. Whoosh. My distant gang sphere, another me, flew towards me. And then it overlapped with me. The thoughts of my physical and mental bodies began to synchronize. The speed and efficiency of my thoughts doubled. Suddenly, the world seemed to slow down. Simultaneously, the control and reaction speed amplified by my inner core increased manifold. Vroom! Kim Young-hoon swung his saber again, but this time I caught it up close. Kim Young-hoon's eyes sparkled with intrigue. You finally understood, excellent. His thoughts were conveyed through his intent. I also communicated through intent. It's only this much for now, but can you accelerate your thoughts by up to 10 times? 8 gang spheres gathered around him. That's right, let's have a real battle. Boom! My sword pierced through his defense and thrust into his abdomen. Thud! At that moment I executed a series of 7 attacks, entering mountain, cliff edge, dragon vein, joy of mountains and peaks, mountain tiger, mountain echoes, valley responds, flowing ridge. Ascending vein. Boom! I struck Kim Young-hoon's chin with the flat of my sword, sending him flying into the air. It seems he was safe, having quickly deployed protective gang chi, but he looked down at me with a shocked expression. What I thought you could only handle 1 gang sphere, why suddenly so fast? It feels like I had experienced a completely different realm. Each time I progressed from first rate to peak, from peak to 3 flowers gather at the summit, and from there to 5 energies converging to the origin. However, from 5 energies converging to the origin to the ultimate pinnacle, it was just a slight increase in reaction speed after forming the inner core. Apart from that, there was only a difference in enlightenment compared to 5 energies converging to the origin. I thought it was a bit of a stretch to completely overshadow the previous realm. But now I truly feel it. The world seems to move slower. I've truly stepped into the next realm. I emitted gang chi throughout my body. I couldn't flow gang chi through all my meridians like chi-building cultivators, but for a single moment, I could wrap my entire body in sword gang. For an instant, I became the sword. Ascending vein. Boom! I used ascending vein with myself as the sword and rushed at Kim Young-hoon, who couldn't react in time and took the hit. Kyuang. He was sent flying to a distant mountain peak, leaving spider web-like cracks and our blade marks on it. Haha, so that's it. Kim Young-hoon laughed heartily, dusting himself off. It was a sudden attack, but it seems he nullified the damage with his protective gang chi. He was unharmed. Taoist cultivation. You're in the latter stages of chi refining, Does that mean your consciousness is larger than mine? He seemed to realize the secret of my reaction speed. Yes. Until now, I couldn't react to his speed. However, once I learned the technique to accelerate my perception and thought, I moved much faster than him despite using the same number of gang spheres. That's because I'm at the 9th star of chi refining, with an abnormally large consciousness, practically at the 12th or 13th star in reality. Even with the same body and gang sphere, the efficiency and capacity of acceleration differ. The size of the consciousness itself makes the amplification rate different when it's boosted. Martial arts and Taoist cultivation complement each other. It's like being in a different weight class. Even if you learn the same technique, if the size of your consciousness is different, you're at a disadvantage. Kim Young-hoon grinned and gathered his energy. Well, good, it's a very unique experience. Since a large consciousness for a cultivator is like a physical trait, come at me, it'll be fun. Wuang, one of the gang spheres circling him, absorbed back into his body. Kim Young-hoon's acceleration tripled. Let's fight with everything, whether it's cultivation spells or whatever, come at me, ha ha ha. Once again, Kim Young-hoon and I clashed. I formed hand seals, altered the terrain around me, and engaged him. Our fight started in the morning and lasted until evening. The surrounding mountain valley completely collapsed. In the end, I lost to Kim Young-hoon. But unlike before, Kim Young-hoon was no longer an absolute wall. High, but a wall with a somewhat visible top. That was now the difference between me and Kim Young-hoon. Huff huff. Kim Young-hoon stood up using his saber, now missing many edges, as a cane and laughed. It's been a long time since I had this much fun. I feel the same way. I smiled wryly at my completely shattered sword. I couldn't get up. All the strength in my body was drained away. By the way, you contacted me through a lower-ranking cultivator. Are you planning to join the Jin clan? With your ability and my recommendation, you could become an external elder right away. That would be nice, but I came here to check on something rather than the elder position. I struggled to get up, feeling sore all over. There are mortals working in the Jin clan, some people I know. If it's about mortals, I can arrange a meeting, so you won't join the Jin clan. I nodded slightly. I have only about 10 years left in my lifespan. In that time, I intend to elevate my chi refining cultivation as much as possible. In this life, I plan ahead to Shengzi. Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect. I need to see if that sect, said to be located in the western mountains of Shengzi, has any connection to the Ascension Gate. Maybe it has something to do with why we ended up here. Translator notes, martial arts in this novel is so fun. The fights between Kim Young-hoon and our MC are always a delight to read. If you want to support me, head to me translating novice. / */ Discord https://dsc.gg/wetread. Link to donations in the Discord. Chapter 58, Heavenly Thunder 5. Discord translating novice. I was able to visit my disciples in the Jin clan's territory with permission from Kim Young-hoon. This life was not much different from the previous ones. Khwa gave birth to 2 children. Manho became a father and was teaching his children. They seemed to be good parents. Nakyon's sculpting skills have grown much more than in the previous life. He also got a new wife, a woman I didn't recognize, probably someone he met in the Jin clan's territory. Chengye is still weaving silk, and the silk she produced was of extraordinary quality. Hie had married Kwakki, but they didn't have children yet. They are all familiar connections from past lives, but there are slight changes due to the butterfly effect. All of them are doing well, and none of them are dead. After secretly visiting the village where they reside, I left the territory with Kim Young-hoon. It's good to see everyone doing well. Do you know these people? If I know them, I know them. If I don't, they are strangers. May I ask what kind of relationship you have with them? What kind of relationship? After a moment of thought, I replied, just a connection. No matter what name you give to connection once made, what use is it? It's just a connection. Even if it's not a master-disciple relationship, these are connections that will not be forgotten in my heart. Just a connection. Kim Young-hoon seemed curious, but he did not press further after sensing my complicated thoughts. He escorted me out, and we had several conversations. What I had been doing for the last 40 years, whether I had difficulties while learning martial arts, how I mastered cultivation methods and martial arts to this extent. I learned a lot in the country of Byokra. Like Kim Hyung, I opened my eyes one day and found myself in a completely different place. Haha, is that so? When I woke up, the language of Yangyuo and unfamiliar martial arts were engraved in my mind, so there were no big difficulties. I experienced the same. Must be the doings of those monsters in Ascension Path, right? I attributed the knowledge I had passed on to Kim Young-hoon for survival to the deeds of the heavenly being cultivators in Ascension Path. Tusk, even after abducting our colleagues in doing this, well, the past is the past. I can't do anything about it now. He clicked his tongue and sighed, and we shared various insights about martial arts. In the western borderlands of Yangyuo, there I received 3 books from Kim Young-hoon. The Record of Surpassing Path in Martial Arts, a martial art system those monsters put in my head. It's the same book, but with added insights from trial and error to reach the next realm. You might find it helpful too. Is the title still Record of Surpassing Path in Martial Arts? I asked Kim Young-hoon as I received the expanded martial art book from him. However, Kim Young-hoon only clicked his tongue in a self-deprecating manner. Why change the title? It's just a collection of stupid trials and errors I've added while clinging to it. I'm honestly doubtful if there's even a realm beyond the ultimate pinnacle. It's like a diary of foolishly bumping into things until something comes out. Sometimes I wonder if the ultimate pinnacle is the limit that a martial artist can reach. What's so funny? I couldn't help but laugh at his words. The limit that a martial artist can reach. How many times have I heard that from Kim Young-hoon? Yet time and again, he had created realms beyond that limit, shattering boundaries. He kept growing stronger and reaching higher. That was Kim Young-hoon. There are endless mountains beyond mountains, and endless paths within paths. I slowly recited the proverb. There might be something beyond what you think is the end. If it's Kim Hyung, you'll definitely reach beyond that. If you don't plan to change the title, I'll accept it as Record of Surpassing Path in Martial Arts. Flattery won't get you anywhere. Well, anyway, are you really going to Shengzi? Yes, there's something I need to find in Shengzi. The Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, located in the western mountains of Shengzi. I plan to search for it to gather more information about the Ascension Gate. It's a pity. I was hoping you would stay and spar with me more. I wish I could, but there's something I need to find. All right, I understand. Do visit sometimes. I silently performed a fist salute to him. Kim Young-hoon reciprocated with a fist salute, and thus we exchanged brief farewells. Shengzi is also known as the land of scriptures. It is overflowing with all kinds of scriptures and erudition, and as a land of scholars, numerous poems and collections of poetry were abundant in the streets. Although my knowledge of the Shengzi language was minimal, I learned to speak it fluently with the enhanced mental capabilities of a cultivator. After learning the language, I wandered around various parts of Shengzi to gather information. The country was ruled by a total of 7 cultivator clans. However, the presence of these clans did not necessarily make them superior to Yangyuo or Byokra. The Jinlu clan, slightly more powerful than the Makli and Jin clans individually, dominated half of the country. The remaining half was controlled by a coalition of 6 smaller clans, Ha, Geo, Jun, Yoljian, Ori, and Jian. As a nation rife with numerous cultivator clans, a plethora of philosophies and scholarly works from each clan made it a holy land of scriptures and learning. This was the essence of Sheng's. I roamed the country, gathering information. 1 year after arriving in Shengzi, after inquiring among the lower-ranking cultivators and branch families of the cultivator clans, I discovered the best source of information regarding the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. If you're looking for information about the once preeminent Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, the Shengzi Imperial Archives should have plenty. The Imperial Archives. Remarkably, the Shengzi royal family is not a branch of any particular clan, but is purely composed of mortals. In a situation where multiple clans maintained a delicate balance of power, a brutal conflict among clans, similar to Yangyuo, would occur if a specific clan's branch family occupied the throne. Thus, the 7 clans agreed to let mortals form the royal lineage. During their 700 years of rule, although unable to collect precious cultivation methods, the Nan royal family consistently gathered historical texts, which were considered less important by cultivators. Hence, the imperial archives are said to be rich in histories of various cultivation sects, especially extensive secret records of the once dominant golden divine heavenly thunder sect. The challenge, however, was accessing the imperial archives. Cultivators are barred from even entering the palace, let alone the archives. This restriction was created by the 7 cultivator clans to prevent cultivators from other clans from controlling the royal family. Therefore, not only the heads of the 7 clans, but also loose cultivators and mountain hermits were barred from entering, and a powerful barrier was set inside the palace. This is troublesome. Can't enter if I can't break the barrier. I asked the low-ranking cultivator in front of me for clarification. So, does this mean there are no cultivators inside the palace at all? It's completely inaccessible to them. That may not be entirely true, Senior. I've heard there are a few high-level chi refining cultivators in the palace serving as royal guards. They receive special talismans from the 7 clans to resist the barrier, to protect the royal family in emergencies, or to replace the emperor when the royal family goes against the will of the 7 clans. So it's possible to enter then? Yes, that's correct. It seems necessary to see and judge the barrier myself. Upon arriving in Jinjing, the capital of Shengzi, I observed the layout of the palace and the flow of spiritual energy around it. Based on the knowledge of formations I learned from my master and testimonies from various mountain hermits, the barrier around the palace wasn't to prevent cultivators from entering, but to suppress their spiritual power inside the barrier. Meaning, a cultivator inside the barrier without a special talisman from the 7 clans would be no different from an ordinary mortal. So what this means is, I smirked, radiating sword energy, while observing the people entering and leaving the palace and the martial artists inside. I can just walk in. Whether my spiritual power is restricted or not is irrelevant. The barrier didn't completely prevent entry to those with spiritual power, but suppressed it once inside. However, I had other strengths besides that of a cultivator. Whoosh! After cutting perception with the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts, I casually entered through the main gate of the palace. Rumble! Upon entering, I certainly felt my spiritual power being suppressed, but my consciousness, internal energy, and inner core remained unaffected. After all, if martial artists couldn't use their martial skills inside the barrier, it would be impossible to handle emergencies in the palace. Moreover, the cultivators who are allowed to use their power are all just at the chi refining stage anyway. In case of an emergency, it seems possible to overthrow the royal palace and escape without any problem. I wandered around the palace looking for the royal library and sneaked in. Let's see, books about the golden divine heavenly thunder sect, books. I started my reading through the sea of books in the library. I learned an astonishing fact while reading books about the golden divine heavenly thunder sect. The sect was established a staggering 123,000 years ago. 123,000 years. It's a figure so absurd it's almost laughable. What kind of insane number is that? I dismissed it as a joke or a legend and looked through other books. However, other books stored in the royal palace, written in Yanghuo or Byokra languages, also dated the emergence of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect to around 123,000 years ago. While there were slight differences in the years, every book indicated the same era. Is this for real? After all, even a heavenly being cultivator has a lifespan far exceeding 2,000 years. Considering that it's only been a little over 2,000 years since the common era on Earth, these monsters with lifespans over 2,000 years. Thinking this way, even the absurd figure of 123,000 years seemed somewhat plausible. In this sect, the Black Ghost Valley, 500,000 years. Is this just a numbers game or is it real? I quickly dismissed the exaggerated figures of Black Ghost Valley from my mind and focused back on the information regarding the golden divine heavenly thunder sect. Holding on to such head-aching figures was only going to lead to confusion. I scoured information from books about the golden divine heavenly thunder sect. Information cross-verified in several books was deemed credible. Information mentioned only in 1 or 2 books was taken as folklore. In this way, I gathered credible information about the golden divine heavenly thunder sect, which is as follows. The golden divine heavenly thunder sect was established around 123,000 years ago by a Taoist cultivator named Yang Sujin. I could find no records of this Yang Sujin in the royal archives. He seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. However, there was an unusual record about him, the phenomenon of heavenly rejection. It's the same as what I experienced during his chi refining seventh star, when he was undergoing the seven stars ritual. Dark clouds covered the sky, refusing his acceptance. But unlike me, who had to tear through the clouds with a gang sphere to complete the ritual, Yang Sujin's immense talent allowed him to overcome the heavenly rejection on his own. There were no records of what kind of talent he possessed. It's fascinating. Someone from 123,000 years ago also experienced heavenly rejection. But the intrigue didn't end there. Surprisingly, in Yang Sujin's era, there were about 5 or 6 others who also experienced heavenly rejection. 5 or 6 others. Regrettably, there was no information about who they were or how they overcame the heavenly rejection. One of them reportedly failed to overcome it and died of old age. Anyway, the appearance of so many rare holders of heavenly rejection at the same time in one era was a point of concern. It's troubling, but without any decisive clues, it was impossible to draw any conclusions hastily. The most unique record about Yang Sujin was regarding the establishment of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. And so, when the ancestor reached out to the sky, the heavens parted and a gate of light opened above the capital city Gashan of the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom. Through it fell the sect's divine artifact. Named after the Taoist title of Yang Sujin and the name of the divine artifact, he established the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. The people of the Holy Kingdom, in reverence, built a shrine in Gichin City to worship the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. A gate of light. I concluded that this tale is credible after cross-verifying information from other books. I carefully examined the descriptions of the gate of light described in various books. This is the Ascension Gate. It is certain, and the country referred to as the Holy Kingdom in many books existed 123,000 years ago. 123,000 years ago, the heaven-treading desert wasn't a desert but a land flowing with milk and honey. So, the Ascension Gate in the heaven-treading desert was at the center of the Holy Kingdom, and the stone shrine in Ascension Path is from 123,000 years ago. Those stone fragments are from 123,000 years ago. They did seem dated, but I didn't realize they were that old. Ordinary stones lasting that long seem doubtful, but in a world where beings like flying immortals exist, it's not too far-fetched. After gathering various pieces of information, I came to a conclusion. The Ascension Gate must have been created by Yang Sujin, the founder of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Was this person responsible for bringing us here? No, that doesn't seem right. The heavenly rejection phenomenon experienced by Yang Sujin during his chi refining stage, and the 5 or 6 others who experienced it during the same era. And then there's me and my colleagues. No decisive connection between these events was discovered. However, I somehow felt that Yang Sujin was also a plaything of the heavens. The area around where Yang Sujin opened the Ascension Gate was originally unstable in space, with many spatial rifts. This information was also cross-verified in various books. That the capital of the Central Spirit Holy Kingdom was Gichin City. It was said to originate from the phenomenon where space in the sky frequently opened and closed. If only there was more detailed information. Perhaps due to being an event from 123,000 years ago, even the Royal Library, which held information from cultivators, lacked detailed circumstances. Most of the information was like hearsay about things that had happened back then. So, what exactly is the divine artifact of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect? I searched through several books again to find information about the sect's divine artifact, but all I could find was, the divine artifact of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect is a core secret of the sect, not disclosed to the public. What was known was that every member of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect had a close relationship with the divine artifact in their cultivation. The divine artifact was greatly revered within the sect and passed down only to the sect leader from generation to generation. Of course, it's a divine artifact, so it makes sense to be treated importantly and passed only to the highest echelons like the sect leader. It was so obvious that it was a bit frustrating. I continued to look through other books, but information about the divine artifact was nowhere to be found in the royal library. Just because there was information from 123,000 years ago in the royal library, it didn't mean they had all the books from that entire period. There were only books about very famous events over thousands of years. The incident of Yang Sujin opening the Ascension Gate and establishing the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect was too famous, so there was a lot of documentation. Is this a book of folklore? While rummaging through the library, I found another book of folklore about the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect and started reading it. The book of folklore contained many interesting, but not necessarily credible contents. One of them was about how Yang Sujin opened the Ascension Gate. It speculated that Yang Sujin didn't receive the divine artifact from beyond the sky when he opened the Ascension Gate. Instead, he ascended to the higher realm as a heavenly being, obtained the divine artifact there, and then created a rift in space when he returned to this world with it. Indeed, this seems fitting as the reason why the Ascension Gate connects to the higher realm. A rift created while descending from the higher realm, hence connected to it. However, there was something strange in the speculation discussed in this folklore book. If that's true, then Yang Sujin had a reason to ascend to the higher realm as a heavenly being, and then to return to this world. I desperately searched for information about the later years of Yang Sujin. Generally, the records were similar, but his death was oddly recorded differently in each book. Some said he committed suicide. Others said he ascended again to the higher realm. Some even said he went mad with dementia, spouting nonsense before entering a spatial rift. Others said he died of old age when his lifespan ran out. And some said he simply disappeared. Why are they all different? But one thing was clear: Yang Sujin was either dead or had vanished. What a peculiar person. Neither his birth nor his death is clear. The problem wasn't that the records were old and inaccurate, but rather that there was simply no information. There are many records that at least roughly estimate the birthplaces of other Black Ghost Valley leaders or heads of large sects from the same era. However, there is absolutely no such speculation about Yang Sujin. Perhaps he... I paused my thoughts and continued to read and reread other books, hoping to glean some new information about the Ascension Gate or something else. My lifespan was rapidly coming to an end. I stayed hidden in the royal library, constantly reading and compiling information. I never stopped practicing the 5 surpassing paths to cultivation. As a result of extracting the earth attribute spiritual energy and applying the principle of the 5 elements to all my spiritual meridians, I completed the 5 elements stage in just over 3 years and advanced to the 10th star chi refining, 4 images stage. The 4 images stage involved splitting the spiritual power of the 8 trigrams inside my body into yin and yang channels based on the logic of the 4 images. I had already fully grasped this part through understanding before breakthrough, and since guiding spiritual power was my primary objective, I was able to proceed it sufficiently with the experience of training in internal energy methods. Kugagung. Through my unwavering dedication deep within the royal palace, a sanctuary rich in spiritual energy, and by diligently practicing with the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts as my guide, I successfully mastered the 4 images stage in just 18 months. This accomplishment paved the way for my progression to the 11th star of Chi refining, 3 talents unity stage. The 3 talents unity stage involved further strengthening the spiritual meridians to connect the paths of the 3 danshan's lower, middle, and upper. After another 3.5 years, I barely managed to break through the 3 talents unity and entered the 12th star of Chi refining, yin-yang unification stage. Heaven, earth, and man are one. The 3 talents are one. That was the enlightenment I gained from the 3 talents unity. Boom, boom, boom. Simultaneously, I realized that my gang sphere has also undergone some changes due to the enlightenment gained from the 3 talents unity. What is it? I feel like I almost understand. Why does Kim Young-hoon always split one gang sphere into 3, then those 3 into 9? Can't he just create 9 gang spheres from the beginning? I lack just a paper-thin enlightenment, but I can't figure it out. What enlightenment am I missing? Heaven, earth, and man are one. Regardless, I completed the 11th star 3 talents unity and entered the 12th star yin-yang unification. The yin-yang unification stage involved continuously circulating the yin and yang power in the divided meridians, merging the 2 yin-yang dual channels into a single unified channel. The key in the yin-yang unification stage was the constant circulation of spiritual power, similar to the flow of internal energy, making it possible to progress through this stage more rapidly than any previous ones. Byung. In about 6 months, I completed yin-yang unification and entered the 13th star Qi refining, unified origin stage. And then, my lifespan was almost over. That day too, I took out a book to read and felt the flow of spiritual power inside me. The 13th star Qi refining, unified origin stage, is about rapidly circulating the unified spiritual power in the meridian and concentrating it to a single point in the danshan. This too required an understanding of the unity of spiritual power and demanded enlightenment. I knew I was close to completing the 13th star. In this life I might not see the 14th star, the limit of Qi refining, but in the next life I will definitely be able to reach it. But the Qi building stage is a problem. The path to the 14th star Qi refining, infinite, seemed solid, as I had learned it well from my master. However, reaching Qi building is a different issue. Even cultivators with true spiritual roots need immense effort to reach the Qi building stage. It was realistic only for those with heavenly spiritual roots to ascend to the Qi building stage through mere cultivation. That's why elixirs like Qi building pills, made by sacrificing humans, was circulated everywhere. But I can't take Qi building pills. I detest the idea of even putting such a repulsive thing in my mouth. Eating pills made from grinding up fellow humans. There must be a minimum line of morality that humans should not cross. However, realistically, with my mixed spiritual roots, it is nearly impossible to reach the Qi building stage. What should I do? While searching through the Royal Library of Shengzi, I extensively looked through the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect and other books for over a decade. I tried to find cases of reaching the Qi building stage without Qi building pills. Those who had reached the Qi building stage without them either had unusual physiques or were heavenly spiritual root bearers, or they were exceptional true spiritual root bearers. There were no cases of mixed spiritual root bearers reaching the Qi building stage without Qi building pills. What should I do? My lifespan is now truly nearing its end. So far, I have only reached the 13th star of Qi refining after 2 lifetimes of dedication. Even that was achieved thanks to meeting the greatest master and tirelessly working day and night. For an ordinary dullard, reaching this stage would have been practically impossible. So then, can I really reach the Qi building stage? Time is running out. Why does a single lifetime last only about 50 years? Why is it so strictly predetermined? If only I had a bit more time, I could do a bit more. Just a bit more time. Qi building stage. My lifespan is too short to reach the Qi building stage. But new lifespans are granted only from the Qi building stage onwards. What should I do? Sarek. Suddenly, while rummaging through a book, I discovered an interesting theory about lifespan. People say that human lifespan is determined by the heavens. Therefore, if humans want to overcome their lifespan, they must succeed in Qi building to receive a new lifespan. However, I think differently. Perhaps the heavens do not grant lifespan. The heavens merely record the predetermined lifespan and assign fate to prevent humans from surpassing that record. In other words, if a person gains enough power to defy even the fate sent by the heavens will record that person's fate again. The length of the newly recorded fate is about 300 years. If that person again gains the power to surpass even the 300-year fate, the heavens hastily record a new lifespan once more. Perhaps this is the true meaning behind the saying that the heavens grant lifespan. I took special note of this passage. It was among the most interesting arguments I had ever seen. Why is this recorded at the front? A long time ago, the story of a man who melted ice in the middle of winter with his bare body to catch a carp for his mother to eat, and other examples of if there's will, there's a way tales. This phrase was recorded at the beginning of a collection of classic folklore that contained these tales. It's as if the author or compiler of these folklore who thinks the heavens grant lifespan had this idea. I flipped through the front and back of the folklore collection. However, there was no author's name on the collection, and it was just a collection without a title. The 2 folklore collections in the Royal Library and Qingmun Clan's library were identical in every aspect, except for the cover and the preface. I tried stimulating the paper in several ways, such as infusing it with internal energy and spiritual power, heating it with fire, and moistening it with water. But the book merely became tattered without revealing anything hidden. Was it a wasted effort? I clicked my tongue and put the folklore collection back in its place. It was an intriguing claim, but it was neither proven nor anything more than the personal opinion of the person who compiled the book. But if it's true, it's a very interesting claim. According to this statement, even if one doesn't reach the chi building stage, if one possesses enough power to defy all the fate bestowed by the heavens will reset one's lifespan. Then, as a martial artist who has reached the ultimate pinnacle, possessing the power of the early stages of chi building, can I overcome my lifespan? Certainly, in my previous life, I lived a day longer than my predetermined lifespan. The heavens caused me to have a heart attack, but I forcibly squeezed out gang chi to stimulate my heart and managed to stay alive until sunrise. Of course, it was just one day, and I'm not sure if that counts as overcoming my lifespan. Nonetheless, it meant that if one has power, it is possible to overcome lifespan, even if just by a speck. Can I overcome my lifespan? Somehow, the theory put forth by the anonymous compiler lingered in my mind. The compiler's words somehow resonated with me. I have about a month and a half left in my lifespan. Can someone who has reached the ultimate pinnacle obtain chi-building levels of lifespan? Translator notes, damn, everyone thank Jesus. Yea, I'm not joking, the donator for this extra chapter is Jesus. / ********. Discord https://dsc.gg/wetread. Link to donations in the Discord. Chapter 59, Heavenly Thunder 6. Translating novice. When one's lifespan is about to end, the heavens invariably create a fate that leads to their death. In the final moments of my past life, absurd misfortunes occurred continuously, like a tree suddenly falling or a venomous snake biting me, culminating in a sudden heart attack. But if I constantly channel gang chi to forcibly keep my heart beating, the heavens are forced to allow me to live a bit longer. If that's the case, what if I continually channel gang chi? What if I never stop, thus preventing death? Then perhaps the heavens might reset my lifespan. Just like chi-building cultivators, who circulate their entire body's meridians with pure spiritual force akin to gang chi. Perhaps by continuously stimulating my heart with gang chi, I could extend my life for some time. And now, having formed my inner core, maybe, just maybe, I can endure until my lifespan is reset. My internal energy has immensely increased compared to my last life, when I was merely at the 5 energies converging to the origin. Isn't it worth a try? I first raided the Royal Secret Vault for useful spiritual herbs and fruits, stuffing and compressing my inner core with internal energy. Then I set up a formation near the Celestial Altar, unbeknownst to anyone, where the Nan royal family of Shengzi conducts rituals. Afterward, I unfolded the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts and sat atop the Celestial Altar, slowly organizing my mind and body. I also endlessly contemplated and sorted out my thoughts on the enlightenment of the 13th star chi refining, unified origin, exploring it through the method of understanding before breakthrough. It must have been half a day, if not a full day, since I settled on the Celestial Altar. I was immediately discovered by patrolling eunuchs. Hey, you there, who are you? However, I ignored them and didn't respond. This fool, do you know what place this is? Only His Majesty the Emperor can ascend this sacred altar for offering rituals to the heavens. Swoosh. One of the eunuchs drew a dagger, its blade imbued with internal energy, indicating he was a first-rate master. But as I flicked my hand, the force from my internal energy gently pushed the eunuch away, sending him flying far off. Since the force was intended to repel, not harm, the eunuch landed softly on the ground. His face turned pale as he screamed. Guards, an incredibly powerful master has invaded the Celestial Altar. Guards, guards. As the eunuch shouted, guards swarmed in, surrounding the Celestial Altar and pointing their spears and swords at me. You disrespectful rebel, how dare you ascend the altar where only the Emperor is allowed for heavenly rituals? Get down right now. A place for offering rituals to the heavens. A familiar place indeed. For the past 40 years, I had spent my life performing rituals to the heavens. There was no one here better at offering rituals to the heavens than me. Bring someone who can perform heavenly rituals better than me, then I'll step down. You insolent fool, die. Whoosh! The palace soldiers charged at me, their weapons imbued with internal energy. However, I just smirked and raised my hand. Whoosh! Wow, what? No, no. My spear. My sword. Hundreds of weapons, under my sword control technique, levitated into the air. Whir. The many weapons spun in the air and in a flash. Bang, bang, bang. They flew back to their owners and lodged themselves precisely in front of them. As the atmosphere froze like ice. They all came to a realization that I wished, could have annihilated them all in that instant. A high-ranking official pushed through the soldiers and approached. Bowing respectfully, he said, "Greetings, esteemed one. I am Wuxian, the left minister of Shengzi. Are you by any chance a cultivator?" It seems even high-ranking officials of Shengzi were well-versed in knowledge of cultivators. He was exceedingly respectful towards me. If I were a cultivator, how could I recklessly use such strength in the royal palace? I've heard that only the senior members of great clans are allowed to use magic within the palace. Are you perhaps a new inspector sent from one of these great clans? It seems they referred to the cultivators from the cultivator clans, who monitored the royal family as inspectors. However, I shook my head and spoke. That's not the case. Then, if you truly wish to know, like I said, bring someone who can perform rituals to the heavens better than me. The high-ranking official seemed to understand my intent, and with a swift gesture to the eunuchs and in a low voice, he commanded, "Bring the inspectors here, hurry." A short while later, "What is this guy doing?" "Haha, judging by his appearance, he's a cultivator. Which clan do you belong to?" "He doesn't have any clan crest. Could he be a hermit?" "3 from the Jinlu clan's branch family, and 6 from the other 6 major clans' branches. A total of 9 chi refining cultivators, of 8th and 9th stars, surrounded the celestial altar. Crazy fool, coming into the royal palace as a mere hermit and stirring up such trouble. Don't you know that in the royal palace, unless one uses a special talisman, all spiritual power and spells, except for the minimal amount flowing inside for cultivation, are sealed?" Swoosh, swoosh. All 9 cultivators simultaneously pulled out talismans and activated them. Flash. The talismans emitted light. Simultaneously, around each of the 9 cultivators, a transparent barrier formed, fitting perfectly to the size of their consciousness. They could use their abilities within the barrier. "Die, you stupid hermit." Boom. In the next moment, the first 8th star chi refining cultivator who spoke was struck by my released force and sent flying. Swoosh. At the same time, I used my sword control technique to pull the talisman from the 8th star cultivator towards me. Activate. Flash. The talisman in my hand shone brightly, creating a barrier of the same size as my consciousness. I could feel the spiritual power flowing inside me, now being released outside. I was able to use spells again. Rumble. I unleashed the pressure of my 13th star chi refining spiritual power without restraint, and my hidden consciousness under the hidden consciousness technique was fully revealed. Despair began to dawn on the faces of the other chi refining cultivators. A 13th star chi refining. Almost at the chi building stage. Ha, wait a minute. If he's at the unified origin stage, isn't that practically the step right before chi building? Cough, senior, it seems these juniors have been impolite, please forgive us. Their faces drained of color as they started begging profusely before me. However, I flicked my hand and used the sword control technique to snatch away the other special talismans, known as breaking seal talismans, from their grips. With this, even on my death day, I wouldn't have to worry about being unable to use spells inside the palace. I heard that even chi-building cultivators were prohibited from using spells inside the palace without these talismans. They too would need the talismans to operate here. But no clan would dare to send their people here because of interclan restrictions. I would also be restless if a stranger barged into the palace, and then a rival clan sent their forces to deal with it. They would likely be desperately trying to dissuade each other and be entangled in political strife. Perhaps the 7 great clans might send 1 chi-building cultivator each. But for a mere chi-refining cultivator like me, the cultivator clans aren't leisurely enough to send chi-building cultivators. There would likely be a prolonged debate among the cultivator clans about what to do with me. If I sit here doing nothing, the debate will only lengthen. By then, my death day would approach. I wasn't concerned. If I overcome my lifespan, so be it. If not, so be it as well. Let's see what happens. Time passed, and my moment of death was drawing near. I had summoned the high-ranking officials and the emperor, revealing my identity as a cultivator and ensuring that no one could approach me for the next few days. Therefore, no one came near. The likelihood of humans killing me was almost non-existent. In case of earthquakes, the barrier covering the Shangzi royal palace also protected it from such disasters. As for venomous snakes and insects, they couldn't make it unnoticed to my seat atop the celestial altar. Moreover, such creatures couldn't exist in the royal palace in the first place. Now, the only way the heavens could kill me was a heart attack. And even for that heart attack, I have already prepared enough internal energy. In my past life, I barely survived a day, but now, my internal energy was much more overwhelming, and I wasn't quickly exhausted or depleted like before. I could last much longer. If I endure and endure, perhaps the heavens will reset my lifespan. If I survive, the cultivator clans will come for me. If my lifespan extends, I will be treated as a late-stage chi refining 13th star cultivator, and will have the option to join one of the 7 great clans. Even if I die, it wouldn't matter since I've caused such a commotion in the heart of Shangzi without any repercussions. Come forth, heavens. I am fully prepared. And so my time of death has finally arrived. There is nothing that could suddenly kill me. No poisonous insects or snakes. The altar, built of sturdy stone, wasn't high enough to collapse and kill me. And being on the altar, there was nothing to fall and hit me. Moreover, the barrier covering the imperial palace would protect against any earthquake damage. In short, aside from a heart attack, there was no way for the heavens to kill me. The stars began to rise. Heavens above. It's been a long time since I've uttered those words. This time as well, I will wrest my fate from you. It doesn't matter if you don't give it to me. I will claw my way up and seize it myself. Thump, thump. My time of death has come. Thump, 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 boom. While anticipating, my heart stopped. But then, boom, the gang chi emitted from my inner core in the lower dantian travels upward to the middle dantian, stimulating the heart nearby. Simultaneously, my internal energy restarts my heart. GRRR. Of course, stimulating the heart with gang chi is excruciatingly painful. But I clenched my teeth and did it anyway. A little pain, what of it? I will not die today. Boom, boom, boom. The sound of gang chi stimulating my heart like thunder rang loudly in my ears. Boom. I will not die. Boom, boom, boom. The stars shine down on me, as if they are watching to see how much this insect struggle. Boom, boom. Ha, you lengthen this. Boom. It hurts, but even if it is a fleeting life, I do not want to die. I felt my life flashing before my eyes, recalling a conversation with Kim Young-hoon. When he asked about my past disciples, what did I respond? Just connections. My connections in this life were very short. I spent 40 years in a mad frenzy in Ascension Path. The rest spent hidden in the archives of the Shangzi Royal Palace. Even my meeting with Kim Young-hoon and my master was too brief. But that too is a connection. Just a connection, but still a connection. I don't want to die. I want to live. I hope these connections don't become meaningless. They can be nameless, insignificant, short, and brief. Just connections. But I hope they don't disappear due to an unstoppable fate. That's all I wished for. Ooh-yo. Boom, boom, boom. It felt like my heart is about to burst. Excruciatingly painful. But I clenched my teeth and endured. How could resisting fate be easy? I endured and endured. Until dawn. If I can live this time, I'll go back to Ascension Path. My altar would still be there. If I live, I should visit Kim Hyung again. I promised to visit often, but have been holed up in the archives for 10 years. If I live, I must greet my master. I don't know if he'll meet me, but he has forgotten me. If I live again. I continue my thoughts, enduring this pain. If I live. Crack. My hand, filled with energy, crushed the altar's floor. I clenched my teeth so hard, my gums bled. If you allow me just a little more time. I shouted to the heavens. How many more connections stored in my heart could I make? Boom, boom. Why do you oppose me? No matter how much I stimulated, my heart stiffened. As time passed, more gang chi was needed to beat the heart. Are you so anxious to block me? I kept pouring gang chi, sending all the spiritual power circulating in my meridians to the inner core, converting it to internal energy. I squeeze out all my strength. Boom, boom, boom. My inner core erupted like a volcano. Boom, boom, boom. Haven't I said it myself? There's endless mountains beyond mountains, and endless paths within paths. Having encouraged Kim Young-hoon with such resolve, how could I not look beyond the end? Definitely, I will see what lies beyond. It felt like my heart was being wrung out in real time. In real time, it felt as though the myriad stars in the sky were pressing down on me, urging me to give up. It was as if the high heavens were trying to deny me completely, crushing down on myself. Whoosh! I activated the formation I had laid out around me. Boom! The pressure of the spiritual energy generated from the formation gathered at my chest, stimulating my heart along with gang chi. Boom! But then it seems as though the heavens had once again decreed my death. Astonishingly, an anomaly occurred in the formation, and the pressure of the spiritual energy became more than 20 times stronger. At this rate, my heart would physically burst. Bang! However, I surround myself with protective gang chi, shake off the pressure, and deactivate the formation. Go ahead, keep trying. Despite the pain, I still have enough internal energy. The stars move across the night sky, and the cold dawn passes. Perhaps because I was directing all my internal energy and spiritual power to keep my heart beating, the spiritual power in my meridians, which usually kept me warm, was not functioning, and my whole body started trembling. It's cold, but the morning sun will surely rise. If I can just endure this dawn. It is said that it is the coldest just before sunrise. I could feel the heat draining from my body. It's okay, I can endure this. I still have plenty of internal energy. This level of cold won't kill me yet. Heavens above, stars. I look up at the sky, growling at the countless celestial bodies staring down at me. I demand you rewrite my lifespan. In the distance, the sun began to rise. It's warm. I had died around this time in my previous life. But this time, it would be different. The heavens will rewrite my lifespan themselves. The morning sun gradually rose over the horizon. I clung to hope as I watched the morning sun. But then, dark clouds started to cover the sun. Rumble, rumble. This wasn't the quiet dark cloud that simply blocked the sky and me during the heavenly phenomenon. These clouds flashing with blue light were like fierce beasts baring their fangs. Boom, boom. I continued to stimulate my heart with gang chi, staring blankly at the sky. A cultivator's intuition, faintly sensing the celestial energy from the heavens, a gift from the 7-star ritual. I sensed the celestial energy, telling me that today was my day to die. It is useless to struggle. The heavens were saying that. Don't make me laugh. Flash. Light burst forth from my heart. The star born from me flew towards the heavens. What do you mean it's useless? Why can't it be done? If the clouds come, I'll tear them apart. Flash. The gang sphere exploded, tearing the clouds in a circle. But there were still too many clouds in the sky, and I only managed to create a small hole. The other clouds continued to flash blue, growling menacingly. Rewrite my life. I launched another gang sphere. Even if I have to tear apart all the clouds, I won't die today. And then, before the gang sphere could reach the sky again, Kuang, a streak of blue heavenly lightning, struck down at me with the speed of light. My protective gang chi shattered. The defensive spells I had prepared were broken. My skin charred, my bones burnt to ash. Heavens above him. Just a nobody who cherishes connections. Just an ordinary fool. Just a human wanting to live a little longer. Was that such a great sin? Even my scream was swallowed by the blue thunder and vanished. I looked at the sky amidst the light. The heavens do not change. Therefore they are eternal. Therefore they are the unified principle. A singular existence. I felt its will with all my body and soul, completing the chi-refining 13th star, unified origin. I reached chi-refining 14th star. Then everything went dark. As I reached the peak of chi refining, I disappeared from the world. That was my 8th return. Translator notes, 7th cycle over, what will happen in the next? \\\\\\asterisk. Discord https://dsc gg/wetread. Link to donations in the Discord. Chapter 60, 8th cycle's first day. Translating novice. I slowly opened my eyes. It was the familiar scent of the forest. How merciless. Why do I keep regressing? I quickly formed a hand seal and used a sleep spell to knock out my companions who were trying to regain consciousness. Thud, thud, thud. I recalled the last moments of my past life. I was struck by the heavenly lightning dropped by the sky, and at the last moment, I reached the 14th star of chi refining through my realization regarding the unified origin. That enlightenment was still with me. The heavens are both a singular entity and eternal, and to embody the principle of this oneness within me. The path of cultivation, after all, might be about becoming like the heavens. I had encapsulated the principle of the heavens within me. Now I have reached the peak of chi refining. After completing the 14th star, the infinite spiritual cloud, all that was left was to attempt chi building. Zing. Arg. Suddenly, blood gushed from my nose. Crag trek. My head started throbbing insanely. It felt like my eyes would pop out. Daya. My upper dantian was rattling. The consciousness from the peak state of chi refining in my past life had returned with me. This could lead to serious trouble. I hurriedly ran to where the yellow bamboo roots were, grabbed handfuls of them, and chewed and swallowed them. Crunch, crunch, crunch. As I quickly consumed the herbs, the energy of the dragon vein chi method circulated throughout my body. With considerable internal energy, I began rejuvenation, being at the stage of 5 energies converging to the origin. Crag crunch. Every muscle and bone in my body twisted and reformed, achieving an optimal state of harmony. The harmony of the upper, middle, and lower dantians perfectly aligned. And finally, flash. Brilliant light flowed from my eyes, and the intense pain in my upper dantian subsided. Phew. I decided to go further and form my inner core, condensing gang chi into the air. The gang chi interwove and formed a gang sphere. I slowly absorbed the gang sphere into my dantian. As it writhed, the gang sphere settled completely in my dantian. Hum. The gang sphere mixed with the nature of the dantian, fixing itself securely and evolving anew. After a while, I confirmed the presence of my inner core at the center of my dantian. I had regained a body nearly identical to my previous life. Phew. Although I had not trained much since my return, it didn't matter. This takes care of the immediate crisis. I worried about the increasing size of my consciousness. Eventually, if this continues, won't I return only to have my head explode instantly? It seemed crucially necessary to find a solution. This is dangerous. I remembered the heavenly lightning that struck me in my past life and pondered over it. When I struggled fiercely, it felt like it was determined to kill me. Even a fool could understand. The heavens are not inanimate. Well, maybe that vast sky is just an inanimate object. But the flow of heaven and earth, energy through the heavens. The flow of fate is like a living thing, trying to crush and burst those who defy it. And I must continue to rise against these heavens. First, I should move the others. I lifted each of my companions, making sure they were not wet by the dew, and carried them one by one to a cave to lie them down. The events at the beginning of each return are always the same. I put my companions to sleep, eat yellow bamboo roots, and undergo rejuvenation. The next day, a fox comes and deliciously bites off my arm. It's been an unchanging cycle that's never varied. Until today. What's happening now is something I've never seen before. The fox was staring at me. Are you? Yes. Strange, very strange. You have a peculiar scent. Ignoring my unconscious companions, the fox continued talking to me through consciousness. Originally, I planned to simply kill you on sight, but since you acknowledge me as the master of this forest and perform the rites, I'll spare you for now. Although I thanked the fox, I felt a strange discrepancy. The fox's emotions were somehow different from before. You with the strange aura, step aside. I'll taste an arm or leg from the other humans. After pushing me aside with a flick, the fox turned its gaze to Kim Young-hoon, Oh Hyun-seok, Jeon Myung-hoon, Kang Min-hee, Oh Hai-seo, and Kim Yeon. Wait, master of the forest, please take my arm instead. I was used to being mutilated, but for them, it would be their first experience of such terrifying horror. The fox frowned at me and growled. How dare a member of the forest argue with the master of the forest? If you don't want to become my meal, shut your mouth. I want to taste these humans. A member of the forest. What is it talking about? I didn't understand the fox's words. Was there some unknown change in me? The other colleagues were frozen in fear as they sat. The fox then bit off and chewed the arm of Ohisio, who was closest. Kayak. Crunch, crunch. Deputy Manager O. I quickly ran to her, put her to sleep with a sleeping spell, and applied pain-relieving herbs to the amputated area. Not great, not tasty. I don't want to eat them again. I'll leave now. The fox casually turned around and hopped away, leaving me in shock. I ground more pain-relieving herbs for Ohisio. It wasn't just the fox that was strange. SSSS. A red snake with 2 heads. The snake looked at me, flicking its tongue. I'm peculiar. What are you? You seem human, but maybe not confusing. Not human. Me? Filled with confusion, I asked the snake. Excuse me, if I'm not human, then what am I? I don't know, I can't figure out what you are. Well, I'll leave you be. Let's taste the blood of the other humans. Like before, the snake sucked a mouthful of blood from Jian Myung-hoon and left, finding it tasteless. What the hell? Jian Myung-hoon clutched his bitten arm, gritting his teeth. I'll go gather some herbs, wait here. I entered the woods, using the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts. Then I quickly ran towards the snake, which was already far ahead. The snake is at the initial level of chi building. Flash. Boom. The gang sphere emitted from my palm flew towards the snake. The snake glanced at me for a moment, then, seeing the power of the gang sphere, immediately rolled away to dodge. Mental link. After creating a gang sphere, I absorbed its consciousness into me. The linkage of 2 consciousnesses doubled my mental facilities. Zip. With one step, it felt like space itself had condensed. To the snake, it must have seemed like I had suddenly cut through time to reach it. Boom. I kicked the snake's midsection, sending it flying into the air. The snake screamed and bared its teeth at me. However, after slicing its perception with the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts, I approached and delivered a knee strike to one of the snake's heads. Ouch. Is that all? The 2-headed snake, which previously seemed quite formidable, didn't look so strong. Of course, the fox is still formidable. But at least this one I could handle. Stomp. I stepped on one of the snake's heads and demanded. Speak, if I'm not human, then what am I? Hiss, hiss, hiss. The snake panicked, flicking its tongue. It seemed to be contemplating its words, judging by the color of its intent. I needed to find out why the fox and the snake were acting this way towards me during my return, so I was harsh in my interrogation. If you don't speak right now, this head will be. Okay, I'll speak. The 2-headed red snake spoke with a terrified look in its eyes. You feel like one of our own kind. That's why the master of the forest and I didn't harm you severely for no reason. One of their own kind. Hearing this, I felt absurd. How could the snake and I be of the same kind? But the snake looked to be telling the truth. After a moment of contemplation, I took a little snake venom from it and let it go. Unlike the fox, which always greedily went after my arm, the snake could be considered a gentleman, taking only a sip of blood and then leaving us alone. Considering the fox also included me as its kind, maybe they thought of me as some kind of demon, not a snake. But why? Why am I suddenly being treated like a demon? What did I do? Wrapped in these bizarre thoughts, I returned to the vicinity of the cave. Afterward, I began to create a law-transforming dantian and prepare for the arrival of the heavenly being cultivators. 2 days passed. I formed the law-transforming dantian and successfully activated 1 spiritual meridian by chanting the earthly Sha true words, entering Chi refining first star. Just as I had succeeded in activating the Earth Leader star. Flash. Familiar faces descended from the sky again. It was Jin Byako, White Bone Ghost Devil, and Sir Chang-ho. Fortunately or unfortunately, nothing here changed. Sir Chang-ho regenerated Ohisio's arm with his blue healing spell. The 3 each attracted to their side Jian Myung-hoon, who had the heavenly golden thunder body, Kang Min-hee, who had awakened the ghostly yin transformation immortal root, and Oh Hyunseok, who had the unique holy body. When Jin Byako began to examine my entire body with his unique malignant spiritual root scanner. A look of confusion appeared on Jin Byako's face. What's this? Are you some kind of demon? Again? Why are they calling me a demon? Is it because of the size of my consciousness? Or can the heavenly being cultivators see the soul of their subject, revealing my unique mental world? But Jin Byako, White Bone Ghost Devil, and Sir Changho all seemed indifferent to me and left me nearby. Interesting qualities, but even if you are respectful, I am already burdened with the unique holy body. I'll grant you a recommendation to the Chungmun clan. Sir Changho flicked his finger and gave me the symbol of the Chungmun clan's recommendation. I politely declined Sir Changho's offer and cautiously asked Jin Byako. Esteemed cultivator, I've always admired the reputation of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, and especially admired Yang Sujin of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Could you possibly bestow upon me the grace of replicating the records of ancestor Yang Sujin? When I asked him in the language of Shengzi, Jin Byako was startled and replied in the same language. Why should I do that? I wish to receive the records of Sir Jin and preserve them for generations, so that countless lives in the lower realm can praise Sir Jin and the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Jin Byako seemed to ponder, then replied briefly. No. Why not? HMPH, if I say no, then it's no. You talk too much, but all right. Since you show respect, if you're really curious about our history, go to the great mountain range where the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect used to be, specifically Shattered Heaven Peak. There are several caves there with historical records stored. If you find them, they should be quite detailed compared to the scattered histories known to the public. Thank you so much. I prostrated before Jin Byako, and he seemed inwardly pleased, though he pretended not to care. This time, he didn't drop any lightning unnecessarily. Anyway, glad that went well. Regarding Jin Byako and White Bone Ghost Devil, as long as you don't provoke them too much, things usually go well. The next day came. I reimplanted the knowledge I had given to Kim Young-hoon in the previous life, including the records of trials and errors he had added to the record of surpassing path in martial arts the day before. The knowledge would manifest in a few days. Rumble, rumble. The sky was covered with dark clouds. Now the Sea Dragon King will come to take Ohaiseo. I plan to entrust Kim Young to the Sea Dragon King again, send Kim Young-hoon elsewhere, and then leave after practicing an ascension path for about 10 years. Rumble, rumble. Storms covered the sky. At that moment I saw the Sea Dragon King, Seo Atrial, enter the cave and check Ohaiseo's pulse. You are? I am Seo Atrial, the Sea Dragon King. I came out of curiosity because this girl summoned the wind and rain, but you mortals. His words halted as his eyes met mine. Startled, he furrowed his brows. Are you? He approached me. Oh, interesting. Are you perhaps a demi-human? Excuse me. Are you a hybrid of human and demon? There are occasionally such beings. Confused by his question, I blankly replied. No, I am not. Do you sense a demonic aura in me? Then Seo Atrial asked with a puzzled look. Not a demi-human. Then what are you? Are you saying you're not a demon when you're carrying a demon core inside you? Excuse me. Demon core. I was taken aback by these unexpected words. Translator notes, demon core. Extra donated chapter coming in a bit. / ********. Discord https://dsc gg/wetread. Link to donations in the Discord. Chapter 61, Violent Storm 1. Translating novice. Demon core. Could he be talking about the inner core? The only relevant core Seo Atrial could be referring to was the inner core, as far as I know. Why do you call this a demon core? This is. As I tried to explain the inner core, I found myself at a loss for words. The inner core was something only high-level martial artists like Kim Young-hoon and I, who had reached the ultimate pinnacle, possessed. In a world where even those at the stage of 5 energies converging to the origin are considered geniuses appearing only once every few hundred years, there were probably only 2 martial artists in the history of martial arts who had reached the ultimate pinnacle, Kim Young-hoon and me. But how should I explain this inner core, which only a martial artist of ultimate pinnacle could create. On reflection, I realize I am not well versed enough to understand. I would be grateful if the Sea Dragon King could enlighten me on what a demon core is. The demon core is a spiritual essence formed by beings like me, an enlightened demon beast. At the same time, it's the catalyst for regular demons and mystical beasts to start cultivating upon gaining intellect. While humans are born with intellect, most beasts just instinctively absorb the heaven and earth spiritual energy, until one day this energy forms a core in their body, which becomes a demon core, gradually granting them intellect and the ability to cultivate. My dragon race, among a few others, can pass down the demon core, so we possess intellect from a very young age. It seems that what is typically known as a demon core is formed by demons and mystical beasts. I now understood why Cohvial was referring to my inner core as a demon core. If the aggregation of heaven and earth spiritual energy grants intellect to demons, then their demon cores are essentially concentrations of their own intellect and energy. My inner core was formed by the mingling of Gang Chi with the nature of the Danshan. The Gang Chi was, in turn, another concentration of my own being. A kind of concentration of intellect, so to speak. In other words, it was convergent evolution, though evolved under entirely different conditions and in different ways. The end results appeared similar. This seemed to be the case with my inner core and the demon cores of demon beasts. Humans, typically born with intellect, can't form a separate core of intellect, like a demon core. You don't see humans stuffing their brains into their danshan to converge it. Normally, only enlightened demons form demon cores. Occasionally, hybrids of humans and demons can form them, but you formed a demon core and yet didn't know you were a hybrid. The Sea Dragon King, apparently misunderstanding my identity, kept asking me, thinking I was some sort of human-demon hybrid. I wonder what kind of hybrid you are, but it's about time for me to go. I must be on my way to the Ascension Gate. After asking me a few things, the Sea Dragon King clicked his tongue as if in regret. He pushed Kim Young-hoon's body into a spatial rift and, persuaded by me, decided to take manager Kim Yoon as well. He then looked at me. But a human-demon hybrid, that's almost the first in 1,000 years. This is also fate. Here is a demon-beast cultivation manual, one of the decent cultivation methods passed down in my Sea Dragon clan. How can I express my gratitude? Shaking, I took the book he handed me. The book was bound in some beast's hide and emanated a cool aura. And then, I apologize, but could you tell me what these characters are? Ah, that's the demon script. I suppose you, not knowing that you had a demon core or what kind of hybrid you are, wouldn't know the demon script either. Then what are you telling me to do? Maybe he could transmit the knowledge of the demon script using a spell. I looked at him hopefully, but Cohvial shook his head, noticing my gaze. The consciousness of humans and demons are quite different in frequency. Forcibly transmitting knowledge usually results in the weaker mind going insane. Unfortunately, it looks like you'll have to learn the demon script separately. Let's see. If you go to the Black Wind Sea's utmost chaos island, there's a descendant of mine, Seo Ran, who's of late-stage chi building. That child is proficient in both human and demon script. If you offer him something in exchange, he might teach you. As my knowledge is not broad enough, what if I turn out not to be a demi-human and get attacked? What are you even talking about? I am telling you that you're a demon-human hybrid. You've even condensed a demon core, so any sentient demon wouldn't dare treat you lightly. Well, I must be going. That cultivation manual is quite a decent demon-beast method and should be helpful to a demi-human hybrid like you. After saying this, Cohvial picked up Kim Yoon and Oh Hai Seo and left the cave. A while later, I saw Cohvial cutting through the dark clouds and flying away. I bowed my head towards the departing Sea Dragon King. Demon-beast methods, you say? Suddenly, I pondered the origin of martial arts. Most trace the origin of martial arts to cultivators' cultivation methods. The internal energy methods were said to have been born from the cultivators' spiritual energy cultivation. However, martial arts are not composed solely of internal methods and energy cultivation. Techniques. Where did the techniques that martial artists use to move their bodies come from? The movements of beasts are the origin of countless martial arts techniques. From the pouncing of tigers, the galloping of horses, the fluttering of bees, the solidity of turtles. Humans imitated those stronger than themselves to perfect their martial arts. They created internal methods, by imitating cultivators and techniques by imitating beasts. These techniques and internal methods merged over thousands of years to become fully integrated and become martial arts of today. Thus, martial artists firmly established their existence in this world. Is the gang sphere I created an energy method or technique? It could be seen as a clump of energy, or a collection of techniques, similar to that of cultivators, but also born from the movements of beasts. Therefore, my inner core shared similar traits with the demon cores of demon beasts. That meant, perhaps by studying demon-beast methods, I could discover the next stage of martial arts. Cultivators' methods have evolved over thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years. Demon-beast methods likely have a similar history, though not much is known. But martial arts, compared to them, have a much shorter history even at their best. That's why martial arts are weaker, and their realms are limited. Kim Young-hoon's continuous effort to pioneer new realms wasn't in vain. Without it, martial arts could never reach new realms. If I learned demon script, interpret demon-beast methods, and inform Kim Young-hoon, perhaps he could see beyond much faster. I made up my mind. Yes, first I will recover my past life's cultivation as quickly as possible in Ascension Path. Afterwards, I will set out to find the sea dragon named Seo, ran living in the place called the Black Wind Sea's utmost chaos island, to learn demon script. This was my goal for this life. The time it took to recover up to the 7th star of Chi refining was much faster than in my past life. Just about 7 years. It was almost gaining 1 star per year. Repeating the process of understanding before breakthrough from the beginning, my understanding of the stages deepened, accelerating my recovery. Then I performed the 7 stars ritual again, a ceremony to receive celestial energy from the heavens. This time, too, I witnessed something familiar. The inevitable heavenly rejection. Dark clouds blocked my path, but I just smiled and raised my hand. Boom! A burst of light and a hole in the sky. Starlight poured down, bestowing celestial energy upon me. I smoothly reached the 8th star of Chi refining. It took about 3 years to reach the 11th star, 3 talents from the 8th star of Chi refining. Recently, as I reached the stage of 3 talents, I noticed changes in the gang sphere again. Heaven, earth, man. The gang sphere underwent changes in the 3 talent stage in my past life as well. Back then the feeling wasn't clear, now I somewhat understand it. Of course, it was still hard to explain verbally. Whirring. It seemed possible to induce changes in the gang sphere. Bang. The gang sphere split into 2. The left sphere became earth, the right sphere heaven. And myself, between the 2 spheres, became man, thus making heaven and earth revolve around me. Whir. The 2 gang spheres stabilized as they rotated around me. I lifted the 2 spheres in my hands. The principle of 3 talents applied, and the gang sphere split. Why was that? Why did the principle of 3 talents apply so perfectly to the gang sphere? Whoosh whoosh. I lifted the 2 gang spheres in one hand. The 2 spheres, representing heaven and earth, revolved around each other and eventually merged into one. The principle of 3 talents. I pondered over the principle of 3 talents and tried splitting the gang sphere again. For now, I could only split the gang sphere into 2. Without proper enlightenment, the 2 spheres would merge back into one if the force was released. I observed the gang sphere for a moment, and then continued my practice of the record of surpassing path and martial arts. About a year later, I successfully completed the 12th and 13th stars of Chi refining, yin-yang unity, and the unified origin. Bam! All spiritual meridians merged into one, and a single point of spiritual power gathered in the Danshin. Completing the 14th star of Chi refining, infinite spiritual cloud, grants eligibility to attempt Chi building. The stage of infinite spiritual cloud was more like a bridge between Chi refining and Chi building. Therefore, having completed the unified origin and able to enter 14th stage, I had essentially reached the limit of Chi refining. Finally, after about 11 years, I have fully recovered to the 13th star of Chi refining. Crack. Clasping my hands, I formed a formation on the ground without even gestures or chants. I could now instantly create simple formations. What remained was to complete the 14th star and enter Chi building. Entering Chi building requires more thought. With my current talent, it might not be achievable even with a lifetime of hard work. Therefore, as I had originally planned, I should meet Co Ran in the Black Wind Sea to learn demon script, and learn the demon beast methods given by Co Atrial. 11th year of return. Having reached Chi refining 13th star, I jumped off ascension path. It was now time to explore the demon beast methods. Translator notes, by bit I mean very soon lol, extra donated chapter. Everyone thank a sexy cow, lil bruh, fatty Taoist and BTW stone. Thanks for the support. // Discord https://dsc gg/wetread. Link to donations in the Discord. Chapter 62, Violent Storm 2. Translating novice. Having jumped from ascension path, it took several days to reach Byokra. Having reached the 14th star of Chi refining and possessing sufficient spiritual power, I could quickly cast spells, perhaps due to this. Or maybe it was because I brought a lot more food from ascension path than before. Or perhaps because I didn't waste time searching for traces of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect like last time. Anyway, I managed to avoid the dreadful predicament of running out of water. Of course, it would have been better if I had a little more water. Licking my dry lips, I entered the Chinsik city in Byokra. Next time, after the earth-surpassing path, I should practice the water-surpassing path to the level of 3rd or 4th star of Chi refining. Since I possess the 5 element spiritual roots, I should be able to master other elements as well. Learning at least the initial part of the water-surpassing path will be helpful for crossing deserts. While purchasing basic necessities and clothing in Chinsik city and about to enter Byokra, I was stopped. Halt for a moment. Which clan's young master are you? A subtle pressure of spiritual power could be felt. Simultaneously, a presence with a slightly larger consciousness than mine enveloped my consciousness. Swoosh! The air shimmered, and a middle-aged man adorned with numerous glass bracelets emerged. The man in white was adorned with glass ornaments all over his body, emitting faint spiritual energy from each. Each one is a magic artifact. He must be wealthy to be covered in them. I observed him cautiously, a little tense. Wearing magic artifacts all over meant not only wealth, but also possessing enough spiritual power to activate them all. A cultivator in the Chi building stage. Maintaining my guard, I replied politely to his question. I'm a loose cultivator named Co Yunhyan. May I know the purpose of your inquiry, senior? A loose cultivator, not affiliated with any clan. Yes, not affiliated. The ring-shaped glass artifact around the man's neck turned a clear blue. The fact that the listening ring turns blue means you are telling the truth. You're not a spy sent by another clan to scout the Galmyo clan's territory then. An artifact that can discern truth and lies. The whirlwind of spiritual energy within the ring was dizzying just to look at. Quite young, aren't you? How old? My physical age was about 40, considering I fell into this world at 29 and about 10 years have passed. I have reached my 40s. And you look remarkably young. My aging was slow due to rejuvenation and the inner core, so I still maintained the appearance of my early 20s. Anyway, reaching the 14th star of Chi refining in your 40s implies you have remarkable talent. What is your spiritual root? I possess the 5 element spiritual roots. 5 elements. At that age, with all 5 elements, you reach the 14th star of Chi refining. The Chi building cultivator in white looked at me with amazement and then spoke. More talented than expected, tempting. I am Buck Jung-ho, an external elder of the Galmyo clan. I was once a loose cultivator too, but a former elder of the Galmyo clan recognized my talent and recommended me as an external member of the clan. The Galmyo clan welcomes talented individuals regardless of background. Why not join the Galmyo clan? It seems he approached me not only to determine if I was a spy, but also to recruit talent. I relaxed my excessive tension while maintaining basic caution. I am deeply honored by your offer, but unfortunately, I must decline as there are certain things I cannot do if I belong to a clan. That's regrettable. Think about it carefully. It seems you're at the peak of Chi refining. If you join our clan, you'll receive support for Chi building. And if you reach Chi building, you could become an external elder like me. If you choose to become a son-in-law of the main family, becoming an internal elder is also possible. You know the Galmyo clan is renowned for refining magic artifacts, correct? Join us and you'll receive high-quality artifacts for free. I am truly sorry, but I really have things to do that prevent me from joining a clan. Well, if that's the case. Bok Joon-ho clicked his tongue, disappointed. If you ever change your mind and want to join a clan, make sure to visit the Gongmyo clan. As an external elder, my sincere dedication to Gongmyo clan speaks volumes of its remarkable life, does it not? The Chingmun clan is nothing but a battleground where one must constantly fight to prove themselves if their strength is unverified. And the Byok clan, they are just wallflowers, dull and foolish. Be sure to seek out Gongmyo clan if ever you grow weary of your loose cultivator lifestyle. Yes, I suppose I will. Why is he so keen on recruiting me? His promotion of the Gongmyo clan was suspiciously earnest. After exchanging pleasantries with Bok Joon-ho, I left Chinsik City and headed towards the territory of the Chingmun clan. I planned to participate in the training conference as before and meet Chingmun Ryong. After all, shouldn't I see how his life is doing at least once? It was when I entered the registration office for the training conference of the Chingmun clan. Wow, what do we have here? A fresh talent. Suddenly, a muscular giant burst out from a corner of the office. A chi-building cultivator. And I knew him. He was Chingmun Ryokshin, a chi-building elder. I occasionally greeted him during my previous life when I studied under my master. A man who was right behind my master in the rankings of the immortal combat meeting. As I was flustered, Chingmun Ryokshin approached me, grabbed my shoulder and exclaimed, "A chi-refining cultivator at the extreme level, and your consciousness is almost comparable to chi-building. What a tremendous talent. You, join the Chingmun clan. I'll support any aspirant who challenges chi-building." No, Silence, I won't allow any defiance. Do you think talents like you are common? Damn it. Apparently, being a chi-refining cultivator at 14th star, just before chi-building, was more valuable than I thought. Indeed, in their eyes, I was a potential elder-level talent just rolling around, awaiting a bit of support. No thank you, I don't need it. I hurriedly fled the registration office. I knew they were all aggressive except for my master and a few others, but I hadn't expected this level of stubbornness. Boom! The entrance of the registration office exploded, and Chingmun Ryokshin charged at me like a madman. Why don't you obediently become a part of the Chingmun clan? I will make you my family's son-in-law. Wait, I only came to meet Chingmun Ryong. What, you came to see my brother? He paused. Chingmun Ryokshin stopped midair, then stroked his chin and laughed heartily. Well, it's true my brother has much to teach. All right, so you want to be his disciple. No, that's not what I... Fine, then you're either going to be his disciple or my family's son-in-law. My head started to hurt. I knew he was stubborn, but... When I was Chingmun Ryong's disciple, I hadn't seen such greed. But meeting me now, a 14th star chi-refining cultivator, seemed to bring it out in him. Fine, I'll arrange for you to meet him, but you can't go to any other clan. You'll either be my family's son-in-law or his disciple. I felt I had somehow got myself into trouble. Meeting Chingmun Ryokshin was unexpected. But Chingmun Ryong was the same as before. In the territory, near the main house of the Chingmun clan. My meeting with Chingmun Ryong happened again. At such a young age you've reached the extreme of chi refining. With such talent, why seek me? I agreed to meet you because Ryoksin was being a nuisance, but if you have questions, ask them quickly and leave. He hadn't changed. Even if I live several lives. People don't change. I possess the 5-element spiritual roots. I cautiously revealed my spiritual roots and saw a flicker of surprise in Chingmun Ryong's eyes. 5-element spiritual roots. Someone with 5 spiritual roots reaching extreme chi refining at this age. No, don't talk nonsense. Instead of explaining, I recited my understanding of the 72 earthly Sha true words. This time, it wasn't through the victor's privilege of the training conference that I met my master. It was because Chingmun Ryokshin, a chi-building elder, had set the stage for me, a peak chi-refining cultivator with potential. Thus, it seemed appropriate to spend a night discussing with Chingmun Ryong. As I spoke of my understanding and experience of the 72 earthly Sha true words, a glint of interest appeared in Chingmun Ryong's eyes. So it is, with that level of understanding, you've carved your path following the method of understanding before breakthrough. I never thought there would be another like me. We spent the entire day immersed in conversation. Chingmun Ryong, too, seemed delighted to meet someone who understood the method of understanding before breakthrough as well as I did, and he didn't cease our discussion. The next day dawned. Your understanding and realization up to the 7th and 8th stars of Qi refining aren't behind me at all. Impressive. You truly are a once-in-a-lifetime talent. I discussed with Qingmun Ryong my realization from the 1st to the 14th star of Qi refining. My repeated experiences and insights up to the 7th and 8th stars were, I realized, on par with Qingmun Ryong. I also eagerly inquired about my realization from the 9th to the 14th star, and particularly about the principles and methods of transitioning from the 14th star of Qi refining to Qi building. I had now become quite learned in these principles and theories. Before we knew it, morning had arrived. Do you not wish to become my disciple? Once again, Qingmun Ryong, having seen my level of expertise of understanding before breakthrough, seemed interested in taking me as his disciple. I replied with a gentle smile. Even if one is taught for just a day, they will be a father for a lifetime. You are already my master. Cut the flattery. Being a teacher for a day and whatnot, I truly want to take you as my real disciple. Have you really no intention of joining our main family? I smirked bitterly and bowed to my master. I have duties unaligned with joining a clan. I'm afraid it's not possible. My master fell silent. After a moment of silence, he sighed softly. I can't keep someone who wants to leave. Rarely do I come across someone as agreeable as you. Fine then, just go away. I bowed to my master and left the room where we had been talking. Farewell. Just as I was about to leave the Qingmun clan's territory. Thud. A muscular middle-aged man, Qingmun Ryokshin, blocked my path with a stern expression. Where do you think you're going? Excuse me. I asked where you are going. I was just leaving after receiving teachings and saying my goodbyes to Grandmaster Qingmun Ryong. What the? Boom. A powerful surge of power burst forth. How dare you receive teachings from Elder Qingmun Ryong for a whole day, and then try to escape without fulfilling your duties as a disciple? No, it's not like that. You ungrateful wretch. You dare to make light of the great Qingmun clan. I cannot allow someone as impudent as you to become Elder Qingmun Ryong's disciple. I'll match you with a suitable branch family and make you my son-in-law. Whoosh. Qingmun Ryokshin's hand thrust towards me. I felt a chill run down my spine. If he catches me, I'll be forced into marriage. Swoosh. I evaded his grasp and leaped into the air. You dare to escape. Rumble. Clods of earth rose from the ground and flew towards me. Each clump transformed into hands trying to grasp me. I immediately extended my gang sphere from my hand. Bang, crack, crackle. The shining sphere revolved around me, bursting all the earth hands attempting to capture me. Vroom. I linked the gang sphere, accelerating my thoughts. Zoom. At the same time, I swiftly rushed through the air, heading out of the territory. I could sense Qingmun Ryokshin's bafflement behind me. Qingmun Ryokshin stood with a dumbfounded expression, watching the direction Seo Yunhyan had escaped. Escaped from the hands of a Qi-building cultivator. Among cultivators in the Qi refining stage, even a single star difference had a significant disparity in power. However, the gap between Qi refining and Qi building stages is incomparable. The young Seo who just fled, even if he was at the peak of Qi refining, shouldn't be able to match a mid-level Qi building cultivator from Qingmun. Originally, his plan was to have the young man captured by Qingmun's special technique and forcibly married to one of his descendants. But he broke the spell and escaped. A mere peak Qi refining youngster. Qi building. A twisted smile spread across Qingmun Ryokshin's lips. He's immediately a Qi building level combatant. Many elders above the nascent soul stage, considered usable talents, ascended to the higher realms, depleting the continent. The disappearance of strong cultivators above the core formation realm had already thrown the four directions into chaos. In such times, a peak Qi refining talent with the potential to reach the Qi building stage was a rare treasure. Further amongst them, one who could somewhat stand against a Qi building cultivator, despite being only at Qi refining. He's a big catch, haha, I'll force-feed him a potion and marry him off to my descendant. Qingmun Ryokshin's eyes went wild. He took out a transmission device and sent a message to some Qi building elders nearby. Then he entered a house in the estate where Qingmun Ryong was located, where Seo Yunhyan had his discussion. Ryong Hyan Nim, why didn't you capture such a talent? He said he had things to do, what could I do? Hyung Nim, that's frustrating. That guy brushed off my attack and ran away. What? Don't you get it? That kid could easily fulfill the role of a chi-building elder if we bring him in. Hyung Nim, it looks like you like that kid too. Why didn't you catch him? Be honest with yourself, Hyung Nim. Weren't you looking for someone who could understand your knowledge? Chungmun Ryokshin continued. Catching him aligns with the clan head's order to nurture talents in preparation for the upcoming chaotic political situation. It also means, Hyung Nim, you could find a disciple to inherit your lifelong wish. This is frustrating. How long will you just wait? It's what you've always wanted, Hyung Nim. Why sit and hesitate? Be honest. Chungmun Ryong remained silent for a moment. Then he looked up, meeting Chungmun Ryokshin's eyes. Chungmun Ryokshin flinched at the intense desire in Ryong's eyes. Yes, you're right. Chungmun Ryong stood up. It aligns with the clan head's order, and I should be more honest with myself. Chungmun Ryokshin felt a tremendous spiritual pressure. It's been a while since I've seen Hyung Nim like this. The towering figure of the Chungmun clan rose. This is the first kid who understands precious knowledge in this muscle-headed clan. Yes, I must catch him now. His eyes flashed with a green light. I kicked off the air and reached the edge of the Chungmun clan's territory. Ahead was the clan's protective barrier. I extended my consciousness. A star of light emitted from my hand. Then, is this the guy Ryokshin told us to catch? A chi-building elder flew towards me. As he formed hand seals, the clan's barrier strengthened. Just surrender. Kueng. Ignoring the elder's words, I sent a gang sphere towards the barrier. A tremendous explosion echoed, and a hole appeared in the barrier. What? The chi-building elder was shocked, and I quickly passed through the barrier, escaping the territory. However, I suddenly felt a chill. Behind me, two immense spiritual pressures were chasing me. Master and Chungmun Ryokshin were rapidly following me. Stop you. When caught, you'll be married off to my descendant. What nonsense, he's to marry my descendant. Whatever, the first to catch him decides who he marries. He won't escape becoming a member of our family. What madness, why? I accelerated my mental capabilities and kicked off the air again. In an instant I widened the gap between us, but as they took to the skies, they closed in again. I must escape to Yangyuo. Once I cross the Yangyuo border, chi-building cultivators can't follow. I frantically headed east, kicking through the air. Behind me, a tremendous wooden attribute spiritual power world, and a giant wooden figure formed in the air, chasing me. You can't escape. Flash. Huge restraining spells shot from the wooden figure. I can't be caught. I released a gang sphere. Summoned from the world of intent, a clone identical to me appeared, releasing intent. Whoosh! The gang chi I infused into the gang sphere emerged, forming thousands of sword gang in the air. Chungmun and my master watched in awe. Is this the technique of externalizing spirit? Boom bang boom. The sword gang from the gang sphere clashed with the restraining spells, neutralizing them. My desire grows even stronger. What kind of technique has he mastered? No time to wonder, Hyung Nim, he's getting away. The surrounding earth gathered around Chungmun Ryokshin, covering his body. Soon after, a giant earthen figure, identical to Chungmun Ryokshin, stepped onto the earth. Boom! With a powerful slap, dozens of gigantic earthen hands emerged from the ground, reaching towards me. Just get caught and marry. Damn it, I have things to do. I fired gang chi in all directions, but it couldn't scratch the chi-building level spells. The earth hands soon formed a prison, trapping me. Flash. But I had already regenerated another gang sphere. The light swirled, creating an exit for me. I accelerated my thoughts. Dodging another set of wooden restraining spells, I quickly headed east. The pursuit by Chungmun clan elders continued for days. Several other elders, summoned by Chungmun Ryokshin, joined the chase, bombarding me with spells as I fled. On the fourth day of fleeing, I felt a strange sensation. How many times have I used gang sphere? Had I ever relied on it so desperately since reaching the ultimate pinnacle? I floated the gang sphere above my hand, sensing something I hadn't understood before. The gang sphere has always reacted to the principle of 3 talents. Why was that? An unknown reason then, but it seems clear now. Another self resides within the gang sphere. In a way, the gang sphere is a person. But a person isn't made up of themselves alone. Born and living under the grace of heaven and earth. A person is formed through countless connections, perhaps even including heaven and earth. This realization came during the pursuit by my master. If a master's grace is like heaven and earth, then heaven and earth have given me something as significant. Perhaps, if the many connections I've formed have made me who I am, then what heaven and earth have given is also part of me. The light on my hand vibrated. Centering on myself, I divided the light into yin and yang, heaven and earth. The cycle of heaven and earth began around the person. So that's it. Finally, I glimpsed a path further into the ultimate pinnacle. The gang sphere split into two. With a burst of energy, I launched both gang spheres to either side, erasing numerous spells in one fell swoop. Raising two more spheres, I realized many more possibilities opened up. Accelerate threefold. A multitude of spiritual wooden roots covered the sky and earth, transforming into a prison trying to capture me. However, I delved into that fleeting instant, escaping through a tiny gap just before the prison solidified. This kid, he's gotten faster. Now, the border of Yangguo was within reach. I descended to the ground, knelt, and deeply bowed towards Qingmen Ryong. I had gained this enlightenment through my master's heart. I hadn't formed as deep a connection as in my past life. This person is not the same as that person. Yet even so, I will not forget your kindness. Since my master's grace was as great as heaven and earth, I could understand a bit about heaven and earth. Thank you. And I'm sorry, I cannot marry or be bound to clan. What happens if I marry and have children? What becomes of my mind if they disappear with regression? I dreaded to even imagine. Additionally, being bound to a clan, especially since I demonstrated my strength, would mean being treated as an elder and prevented from traveling to other countries. I need to visit Yangguo, go to Shengzi to seek traces of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect, and learn demon beast methods in the Black Wind Sea. Being tied to the Qingmen clan will be difficult for me. Thank you for your concern. I am truly grateful. After the final farewell, I quickly crossed the border of Yangguo, leaving behind the myriad spells that pursued me. Qingmen Ryong seemed to adjust the flow of dragon veins, but only to an extent. Once inside Yangguo, the dragon veins no longer shifted, and the Qingmen elders ceased their pursuit. That was intense. I almost got caught. I let out a small sigh and recomposed myself after crossing a few more mountains. I felt strained. Those who had not paid much attention to me before changed their reactions so dramatically once I reached the peak of chi refining. My stomach feels queasy. Perhaps it was land sickness from having floated in the air for so long, and then suddenly walking on stable ground. I feel strange and queasy. Suddenly, looking at the ground, I realized tears were flowing from my eyes. That's it. I understood why I felt strange, why I am queasy. I wanted to be caught. I know the Qingmen clan is a good clan. I know the elders who tried to capture me fiercely are good people. Qingmen clan, known for its strength and pride, is also a place I know well. Maybe I could have married there, become a son-in-law, and receive teachings from my master, interact with the elders and live happily. Indeed, I wanted that. But then what? Everything disappears. Everything becomes nothing, forgotten. Even now, seeing my master and disciples again, I keenly feel how different it is from my previous life's connections. If I were to blend in, have children, and immerse myself in those connections, what kind of pain would I have to endure? From the enlightenment I just gained, I know. Humans are not made up solely of themselves. A being is formed within the connections of man, heaven, and earth. Yet if all those connections eventually crumble and disappear, what meaning does that being's life have? Farewell. Swallowing this queasy feeling, I bow again in the direction of my master. Someday, in the far, far future, after I get to live a real life, I will greet you again. I went to find Kim Young-hoon. // Discord https://dsc gg/wetread. Link to donations in the Discord. Chapter 63, Violent Storm 3. Translating Novice. In my previous life, It was only in the twilight years of my life that I finally left Ascension Path and found Kim Young-hoon. At that time, Kim Young-hoon was already pursuing beyond the extreme limits of the ultimate pinnacle. Then, what level could Kim Young-hoon, who now has around 10 years of experience, have reached? It appears that for now, the Mackley clan still has control over the imperial power. It seems that neither the Jin clan nor Kim Young-hoon had yet usurped the throne. However, according to the rumors, the emperor and the crown prince were assassinated by some mysterious figure. It must have been Kim Young-hoon. From what I've gathered, Kim Young-hoon has not yet made contact with the Jin clan and seems to be on the run. In that case, it seemed unlikely to enter the Jin clan's domain through legitimate means. Still, I have to see their faces at least. I headed to the territory of the Jin clan and released a gang sphere. Whoosh! In the empty air, a hole was punctured in the formation that was spread around the domain. After erasing my presence completely with the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts and the hidden consciousness technique, I entered inside. Whether an alarm was raised or not, the cultivators of the Jin clan were jumping out in all directions to guard, but none could detect me. Leaving the cultivators behind, I headed towards the training ground where the disciples were practicing. There's no one. Both the training ground and the disciples' quarters were empty, covered in dust. It seems that after the emperor and crown prince's deaths, the Jin clan had decided not to operate the assassination unit. Then, I recalled my past life's memories and headed to where the disciples lived within the domain. As expected, the disciples were scattered throughout the territory, learning the work of mortals. Their faces were noticeably younger than in my previous life. Young adults, fresh-faced, were learning various tasks here and there. After watching them aimlessly for a while, I smiled softly and quickly exited through the opening I created. Having left the Jin clan, I decided to look for Kim Young-hoon first. Considering Kim Young-hoon's personality, the pursuit of the Mackley clan, and the geographical features of Yangguo, I narrowed down the possible hiding places for Kim Young-hoon by combining information from my past life. Before long, I set out towards a likely hiding place for Kim Young-hoon. In the vicinity of Bakju City in Yangguo, among the mountain ridges. He was likely hiding in a settlement there. Tab, tab, tab. I stepped through the air towards the direction of a mountain fort among the mountain ridges. The majestic mountains unveiled themselves, and I could see people bustling below. Indeed, he was here. I enhanced my sight to see what the bustling people were doing and smirked. They were all practicing martial arts. All familiar martial arts. Although not the severing mountain swordsmanship or severing vein saber method, every one of them carried traces of Kim Young-hoon. As I was void-stepping and looking down below, whoosh! A flash of light spread in the air and rushed towards me. Thud! But as I flicked my finger, the flash of light dissipated and vanished. This is centered around me in all 6 directions up, down, front, back, left, right, was dyed with clusters of gang chi. Dual energy sword control. I floated a gang sphere into my hand. I transferred another consciousness of mine and embedded the gang sphere among the light swarms rushing at me. I usurped control over the gang chi. Boom! The gang chi coalesced in the air under my will and lined up. Then I distinctly felt it. A martial art that stealthily slashed through my consciousness and cut through my perception. I densified my consciousness and launched the seized gang chi toward the sneaky approacher. Boom! A figure sprang out in the air like an apparition and deflected the bundles of gang chi I had thrown. What, who are you? How could a cultivator like you? Haha, a cultivator, you say? That's quite an understatement. I haven't even used any profound cultivation spells yet. It was purely a feat of martial skill. Wooum! As I coalesced thousands of gang chi clusters into a gang sphere in my hand, his eyes widened. Long time no see, Director Kim. You are. And then, as he finally remembered my face, Kim Young-hoon's eyes widened. Deputy Manager CO. It's been a long time since I've heard that title. However, I focused more on Kim Young-hoon's gaze rather than my title. Really, to what extent has Kim Young-hoon reached at this point of time? What realm has he attained? I think I know, but confirmation is necessary. Whoosh! The gang sphere in my hand splits into 2. I absorb one to accelerate my mental capabilities, and raise the other at my fingertip. Bang! Tearing through the void, I reach Kim Young-hoon and thrust my hand holding the elevated gang sphere. Kim Young-hoon reacts hastily just before my hand can touch him, barely avoiding my attack. He can't accelerate his mental facilities yet. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Gang chi is layered over the void. But it's chaotic. Whoosh. A powerful aura of control arises around my gang sphere, completely seizing control of Kim Young-hoon's gang chi. Thousands of strands of gang chi, wrapped in the void, all move under my will. What? Thousands of sword controls under my command orderly seal the 6 directions around Kim Young-hoon, pressuring him. Kim Young-hoon, although flustered, continuously inputs his intent, calmly trying to regain control of the gang chi I've taken. At the same time, perhaps realizing he shouldn't approach me, he extends and swings the gang chi from a distance. His combat sense is excellent. It hasn't even been 10 seconds since we started fighting, but he's already becoming familiar with fighting against an ultimate pinnacle expert and figuring out the tricks. On top of that, he keeps trying various ways to regain control of the gang chi, and his use of intent is becoming more refined. However, boom, the void is torn apart. A cracking sound resonates, and before I know it, I've reached right in front of Kim Young-hoon. The difference in realm is inevitable. Bang! I swing my hand containing the gang sphere. This time, Kim Young-hoon doesn't hastily avoid it. Instead, he moves fluidly like water, dodging my attack and countering me. This movement it's systematic. Yet it's a movement I've never seen before. There is only one answer. He just created a martial art just to counter me. It may sound crazy, but Kim Young-hoon is someone who saw the Severing Mountain swordsmanship and invented the Severing Vein saber method in just 2 or 3 months of learning martial arts. It's a martial art tailored to me, created on the spot while sparring with me. If it's Kim Young-hoon, he really could create a martial art suited for the situation to oppose me on the spot. Excitement starts to well up within me. I smile brightly and stretch out my hand again. This is so Kim Young-hoon. Kim Young-hoon's movement accelerates momentarily and reacts to my speed, knocking away my attack. Not my gang sphere, but my wrist. In my eyes, having reached ultimate pinnacle, I could roughly guess how he did it. He momentarily accelerated the flow of internal energy in his body, optimizing his movement to the flow, and increased his instant reaction speed for a brief moment. That's the martial art he created on the spot to use against me. At first, he was just busy avoiding. The second clash, he fluidly evaded. The third time, he knocked away my arm. He is growing with each exchange, second by second. Tingle, tingle. A chilling sensation encircles my entire body. I could guess Kim Young-hoon's realm. Right now, about 10 years in, he's at the realm of 5 energies converging to the origin. He's not a match for me, an ultimate pinnacle, either in terms of experience or pure skill. However, that insane talent of his is continuously creating martial arts to oppose me as he clashes with me. I can't help but admire. Kim Young-hoon swiftly mixes a couple of martial arts and rushes at me. Again, they're martial arts I've never seen. At the same time, I can feel they're aimed and created just for me. It must have been made just now. Nevertheless, it was a martial art excellently prepared to confront someone faster and stronger than himself. However, boom! Without accelerating my thinking with a gang sphere, I float 2 gang spheres beside me and rush towards Kim Young-hoon, dismantling his martial art with pure force. I then reached out to Kim Young-hoon's head and grabbed it. I raise my knee and strike. Kim Young-hoon quickly deploys protective gang chi on his chin to absorb the shock, but I use the moment he loses his balance to flip him over and throw him down. Then, using the 1,000-weight fall, I pressed him from above as we both fall. We started falling together. Kim Young-hoon tries desperately to shake me off in midair, but I stubbornly stay above him. When Kim Young-hoon swings his saber, a sawtooth-shaped gang chi whirls towards me. He spun 3 times in midair, accelerating instantly. Thin threads of gang chi shot out, secretly targeting me in the void. All of these were martial arts I have never seen before, and all of them were obviously crafted to counter me. Kim Young-hoon was creating martial arts in real time, doing everything he could to shake me off. The ground was getting closer. The martial artists training at the fort saw us falling and panicked. In a brief moment, another martial art he just created activated. Kim Young-hoon's gang chi concentrated at one point, displaying a tremendous explosive power. It wasn't a gang sphere, the principle was entirely different, only the form was somewhat similar. But that explosive force momentarily separated me from Kim Young-hoon. In that instant, Kim Young-hoon spun his body, accelerating rapidly and blended into the void like a phantom with record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts. In a blink of an eye, Kim Young-hoon was above me, grabbing my clothes. The ground was right before us. He intended to smash me right into the ground. In a single moment, I read the flow of energy inside Kim Young-hoon's body and used that flow to reverse the situation. The situation, where Kim Young-hoon was about to smash me into the ground, turned upside down, and now I was about to do the same to him. Boom! Dust flew up, shaking the surroundings. Birds in the quiet mountains flew upwards, and the area became noisy. Tingle! I saw a tingling pain in my hand, holding Kim Young-hoon, and smirked slightly. As a master of 5 energies converging to the origin, I knew he'd protect himself with defensive gang chi when I smashed him into the ground. But in that brief instant, he created another martial art that transferred some of the impact of the descent to me, delivering a painfully sharp counterattack. Such insane talent. No wonder he managed to ambush and kill chi-building cultivators even when he was just at the 5 energies converging to the origin. He creates optimized martial arts on the spot, depending on who he's facing. A monster, unbelievable, wondrous, such terms don't do justice to his talent, which exists in a different dimension. A talent that won't appear again in 1,000 years, before and after. Nonsense. Even in 10,000 years, before and after, no martial artist surpassing Kim Young-hoon's talent will likely appear. I stepped down from above Kim Young-hoon and dusted off my hands. Please get up, director. I believe you must have gained a lot from this spar. Spar? Was that sparring? You were attacking like you wanted to kill me. I was just desperately fighting for my life. Haha, I originally intended to make it feel like a light spar. But your talent is unbelievably great, so I did put in a few serious moves. Kim Young-hoon chuckled and got up, brushing off his waist. Serious moves? You didn't even absorb that mass to accelerate at the end and just drove me with pure force. Are you mocking me? As we talked, the bandits who had fled earlier started to peek their heads out. Seeing them, Kim Young-hoon frowned and shouted, "You lot, there's a guest here. What are you dawdling for? Hurry up and prepare to welcome the guest." Yes, yes, leader. Who are they? Nothing much. They were going to raid the village I was hiding in, so I beat them all nearly to death and reformed them to make use of them. That's commendable. We chatted and slowly unwound the reunion of 10 years. Several days passed. During these days, I taught Kim Young-hoon martial arts and gave him the key to ascend to Ultimate Pinnacle. At this rate, he'll reach Ultimate Pinnacle within half a year. The growth rate is insane. Plus, it's only been 10 years. I have about 40 years left until I die. In that time, will he be able to surpass the record of surpassing path and martial arts in this life? Right, let's give some help to Kim Young-hoon. Seeing Kim Young-hoon's talent, I further resolved to study demon-beast methods. If the martial arts of humans are similar to those of demons, perhaps we can also learn from the demon beasts regarding the realm we aspire to reach. Just as humans learned martial techniques from animals, could the next realm also be learned from demon beasts? I've already passed on all the enlightenment and keys of Ultimate Pinnacle to him. With his talent, he should be able to reach Ultimate Pinnacle and form his inner core within half a year without my guidance. Then I shall take my leave. Are you not going to stay to see me reach Ultimate Pinnacle? I considered taking Kim Young-hoon with me, but he declined, expressing a desire to properly enter and consolidate his understanding of Ultimate Pinnacle. With your talent, Kim Hyung, I know you will surely reach it. However, I wish to seek information about realms beyond Ultimate Pinnacle elsewhere. I will return later, when we meet again. I smiled and bowed to Kim Young-hoon. I hope next time, Kim Hyung, you can teach me. All right, next time I'll make sure I've reached a higher realm than you. We bid each other farewell and went our separate ways. Leaving behind my intense encounter with Kim Young-hoon, I set out for the Black Wind Sea, as mentioned by Cohreal. Black Wind Sea, Utmost Chaos Island. The Black Wind Sea, located to the south of Shangzi, Yangguo, and Byokra, is a treacherous sea where storms blew unpredictably, and deep within lived numerous demon beast packs. Known as the territory of numerous demon tribes, it was also said that the main headquarters of the Black Ghost Valley was near the Black Wind Sea. There are many islands in Black Wind Sea, but finding Utmost Chaos Island was not so difficult. An island ruled by a sea dragon. Utmost Chaos Island was one of the islands famous for being under the rule of a sea dragon. I sailed to Utmost Chaos Island and inquired with the locals about the sea dragon, Ran. Ran was revered as a kind of guardian spirit of the island, receiving modest offerings each year to protect the ships from storms and the island from demon beast packs. A benevolent sea dragon, it seems. After all, the offerings were just a few food items from Utmost Chaos Island. It wasn't a wicked demon demanding maiden sacrifices, but genuinely seemed like a guardian spirit of the island. Originally, Utmost Chaos Island was just a land full of thorny bushes, not so suitable for living. It wasn't called Utmost Chaos Island but Thorn Demon Island. But our ancestors were pitied by the guardian spirit who came to this land and helped cultivate it. Since then, following the guardian spirit's name, Thorn Demon Island was renamed Utmost Chaos Island. Honestly, where would you find orchids on this island to call it Utmost Chaos Island? Doesn't make sense when translated, but think of it as a pun. One of the village elders explained the origin of the name Utmost Chaos Island and about the guardian spirit, Ran. Ran was a giant sea dragon about 10 feet in size. It was said to be a wise dragon, interested in human culture and proficient in their language. At the same time, to see Ran, one had to go west of Utmost Chaos Island. At the western sacrificial altar, where offerings are made every year, one could occasionally see Ran swimming in the sea beyond. Is there anything I should be careful of when meeting the guardian spirit? Well, the thing is, the guardian spirit doesn't like sharp objects, so don't bring swords or such in front of them. Thank you. I thanked the elder and headed towards the western sacrificial altar mentioned in Utmost Chaos Island. The altar was located on a cliff on the western side of the island, a simple altar built 3 feet high on the cliff. I'll be able to see Ran from here. What should I say when I see it? That Cotriol sent me. Before I could finish my thoughts, whoosh! A massive shadow was cast over my head. Bang! At the same time, the Demon Beast Method manual given to me by Cotriol, hidden in my possession, emitted a blue water attribute spiritual energy and vibrated. Simultaneously through my consciousness, Ran's consciousness echoed. What are you? What brings you here with the skin of a sea crystal beast that only reacts within the embrace of the demon race while in the form of a human? He was a dragon with blue scales, a slender body, silver blue horns, and a white beard like sea foam. I smiled, took out the manual, and introduced myself. I am called Yunhyan. The Sea Dragon King Cotriol told me that I'm a hybrid of human and demon, and instructed me to go find Ran to learn the language and script of the demon race and master the demon beast methods. It's now time to study the method of demons. Please teach me, descendant of the great Sea Dragon King. Ran asked me in a curious tone. The king said you are a hybrid of human and demon. Yes, that's right. Strange, why do I see you as a demon disguised in human form? I couldn't help but be surprised by Ran's following words. It's not just a feeling of strong demon blood in you. Aren't you just a demon itself? Translator notes, extra donated chapters are on the way. / *********. Discord https://dsc.gg/wetread. Link to donations in the Discord. Chapter 64, Violent Storm 4. Translating Novice. Demon? I asked in bewilderment. I'm aware that I possess a demon core, as informed by the Sea Dragon King. However, he called me a demi-human. Why then do you say I am a disguised demon? What I'm referring to isn't the physical aspect. It's more about the mental part. It is from your consciousness that I deduce you are a demon. My consciousness? It was such an unexpected answer that I looked at him, puzzled. It seems you don't understand. First, look at my consciousness with the eyes of your consciousness. If you have opened the divine consciousness, you should be able to do that, right? Yes, that's within my capability. Whoosh! I entered the world of intent and looked at Ran's consciousness. I couldn't help but flinch. The form of the consciousness domain, it's entirely different. In the case of someone like Coatreal, the size of consciousness was too vast to even determine its form. But with Ran, the consciousness domain was not spherical but thinly wrapped around the upper part of his body, manifesting in the same form as himself. What is this? I observed the peculiar form of Ran's consciousness domain, and simultaneously noticed the colors emanating from various parts of his body. His horns shone with a color that symbolizes pride. His hind legs, for some reason, were tinged with a hue of sadness. It was while I was observing his consciousness and colors. Indeed, you possess a completely different vision from ordinary human cultivators. Human cultivators merely get surprised by seeing the form of my consciousness. But you are definitely seeing something else, aren't you? Yes, that's true, but you have observed the areas that I have always been most concerned about. There are slight differences in vision depending on the race, but fundamentally, the demon race sees a tremendous difference in vision from human cultivators. Ran continued his explanation. The difference in divine consciousness between the demon and human races is mainly in the aspect of heaven and earth. Your human race receives the celestial energy of the heavens, allowing you to read one's lifespan and basic celestial phenomenons when looking at the sky. You can also somewhat read fate. But we, the demon race, cannot read fate just by looking at the sky. Occasionally, some unique demons find ritual methods suited to them and read heavenly phenomenons like humans. Generally, the vast majority of us can't read the heavens, but instead read the spiritual energy flowing over this land. Spiritual energy. There are many different tribes within the demon race, so not all are the same. But fundamentally, all of us in the demon race read the yin and yang of spiritual energy. Ran continued his explanation. Unlike humans, we can't observe celestial energy, but the heaven and earth spiritual energy continuously circulates according to the principle of yin and yang. Aren't we visualizing and observing this circulation of yin and yang? By reading and understanding this circulation, we can obtain information different from human cultivators. Typically, animals can detect danger and flee quickly because of this reason. We might not have the ability to read grander flows like humans, but in terms of intuition, visualizing this yin and yang is the biggest difference between demon and human consciousness. What? The more I heard, the more I felt a strange sense of dissonance. What I was seeing was not the scene described by Ran. What I was seeing was countless hues based on 7 colors, visualizing the intent of countless beings. I never saw the circulation of spiritual energy as described by Ran. That's why I judge you as a disguised demon. The unique temperament of your consciousness, which only appears among demon beasts when detecting the circulation of yin and yang, exists in your consciousness. What could it be? Is the world of 7 colors I've entered the circulation of spiritual energy Ran speaks of. But no matter how I look, this scene seemed far too removed from the circulation of yin and yang. Why did the king judge you as a demi-human? You don't seem to be lying, and it's impossible for the king to be mistaken. Hybrids of humans and demons typically follow human consciousness, specialized in reading celestial phenomenons, not the flow of yin and yang. According to Ran, why then did the Sea Dragon King consider me a demi-human? Shouldn't he have seen me as a disguised demon, like Ran did right away? Thinking about it, a thought struck me. When I met Coatreal, was my consciousness just like a typical human's? Perhaps it was after meeting Coatreal that my consciousness underwent a transformation. The biggest change to my consciousness was yin and yang, heaven and earth, the 3 talents. Realizing the principle of the 3 talents in creating, the division of the gang sphere. That was the most significant event that changed my consciousness in this life. I felt like I had grasped a clue. I focused more on that sensation of splitting the gang sphere, not creating it, but as an axis where heaven and earth revolved. Buzzing. As I concentrated on that sensation, my head started to hurt unbearably. You didn't know your true identity. By realizing now, your consciousness has become more firmly established. Despite the headache, I knew I was on the right track and focused even more on that sensation. It felt like breaking through something that was blocked. But this kind of sensation, I felt this when reaching the peak, and when I reached the 5 energies converging to the origin. Breakthrough. Breakthrough. I as man. The 2 gang spheres as heaven and earth. When I realized this, I was able to split the gang spheres stably. That sensation, just a bit more. Arg. My head felt like it was going to split open. But I clenched my teeth, enduring the pain, and focused even more on the sensation. Blood dripped from my nose and eyes. My ears were buzzing. My senses seemed to fade away. And then, boom, the sensation I felt when reaching the five energies converging to the origin and being connected to heaven and earth spiritual energy. Similar, yet a new sensation completely settled in. No, it wasn't just settling. It was more like awakening the senses that I always had. Heaven and earth are endlessly flowing. Or should I say yin and yang, heaven and earth? No, it should be Taiji. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth is flowing everywhere, drawing Taiji. In the leaves and the water droplets, even in Seo Ran's body. Everywhere yin and yang is circulating, stabilizing heaven and earth. At that moment, I instinctively raised my hand. A gang sphere rose from my palm. The gang sphere split into two, following the principle of yin and yang circulation of heaven and earth. But why? When I see the circulation of yin and yang, why did I evolve the gang sphere through the principle of three talents? The Taiji of yin and yang circulating in heaven and earth. They are not always in a perfect shape. Sometimes they circulate not in a circle but in an ellipse, a flattened shape, indescribably changing. And these changes originate from beings with spiritual power. I then seemed to understand why my realization was connected to the three talents. In the world there are heaven and earth, yin and yang, but within them, beings are born and the living change heaven and earth. They are the essence of man. Born between heaven and earth, all beings change the world. Change itself is the circulation of heaven and earth, yin and yang. Whiz. As the two gang spheres were rotating, tailing each other, a faint aura connected them. From the two gang spheres, a third one split. The three gang spheres were rotating above my heart, following the principle of heaven, earth, and man. I had gained enlightenment on the ultimate pinnacle realm. Zing! At the same time, I could no longer cling to the senses of yin and yang and withdrew from it. Akin to when I first entered the world of intent, staying any longer felt like my brain would burn out. However, thanks to the gained insights, the three rotating gang spheres remained. Seo Ran looked at the gang spheres with interest. "Oh, what's that, a trait of your race?" "Well, let's just say so. Among humans, Kim Young-hoon and I were the first to reach the ultimate pinnacle, so I decided to just go with that. Thanks to Sir Seo Ran for clearly identifying my identity, I could more firmly see the world of heaven and earth. Thank you." "Haha, sure. If the Dragon King sent you, I should help this much. Seeing you now, it seems you hadn't fully awakened your demon consciousness when you met the king. Now you really have no difference from a demon beast. But it's strange. How come a demi-human has a demon's consciousness and not a human's? It's really rare and hard to understand." Isn't it not an absolute rule?" Seo Ran shook his head. "Sorry, but it's indeed an absolute rule. The fact that human cultivators can read heavens will means that humans found a ritual method suitable for them and became a race that communicates with the heavens. If the consciousness of human cultivators is attuned to the heavens, then the consciousness of a demon beast is aligned with the circulation of spiritual energy, symbolizing the earth. Since heaven suppresses earth, the mixed blood of a demi-human always inherits the divine consciousness of the human race. But what about you? Are you some kind of anomaly where heaven and earth are reversed? How did a hybrid awaken the consciousness of the demon race?" While listening to Seo Ran's explanation, I realized something again. Originally, cultivators specialized in reading the celestial energy with their consciousness, and the demon race in reading the circulation of spiritual energy. But those who reach the five energies converging to the origin base their consciousness on the seven colors of intent. According to Seo Ran, the world of seven colors I've seen so far is completely different from both human cultivators and demon beasts. What does the vision of consciousness I perceive signify? Human, is it just a racial characteristic inherent to humans? But what if it's not? What if it follows the logic of the three talents, the perspective of man? However, the concept of heaven, earth, and man in the three talents is a very human-centric principle. Heaven, earth, and man. Are humans comparable to heaven and earth? It's not just humans who live in this world. I'm not sure. For now, I decided to think of it as a racial characteristic of humans. Even if I find other reasons later, this is the only hypothesis I have now. I organized my thoughts and after dispelling the gang's fears, gave Ran a fist salute. Thank you for helping me open my eyes. What nonsense are you spouting? You were the one who established your identity after listening to me. Why are you thanking me? It's like thanking someone else for opening your eyes that you rubbed awake yourself. And anyway, since the king sent you to me, it means he wants me to teach you the demon language. I'm fluent in both human culture and language. His words continued. Since you've awakened the same consciousness as the demon race, it will be much easier to teach you. A typical demi-human hybrid would normally need to learn special powers to learn the demon language. I need to learn some kind of power to understand the language. Come with me. Being out in the open at the altar, I can feel the mortals of Utmost Chaos Island approaching. They might offer tributes again if they see me, so let's go to my place first. Whoosh! Ran turned around and started swimming towards the sea. I also leaped off the cliff. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. I stepped on the waves and continued to follow Ran. After following the dragon across the sea for some time. My place is below here, follow me down. Whoosh! Ran stopped swimming on the surface and dived down. I sighed lightly, looking down at the dark sea below. I should definitely learn up to a certain stage in the water-surpassing path in my next life. I took a deep breath and jumped into the sea. With my experience in feeling the patterns in the air, I now sensed the patterns in the water currents, swimming as fast as I could to catch up to Ran. Ran seemed to be going slow enough for me to follow, but in the water, it was still hard to keep up. After feeling the increasing water pressure and descending further, I saw countless coral reefs below. Like a garden underneath the sea. In a gap of the coral garden, there was an underwater cave. Ran entered the underwater cave, and I followed him in. The underwater cave went down and then up again, after swimming up for a while in the cave. Whoosh! Phew! I was able to finally breathe in the fresh air. The air is surprisingly refreshing. I evaporated the water on me using my internal energy as I climbed onto the ground inside the cave, feeling the remarkably fresh air. Welcome to my abode. There's a special coral here called clear coral that always keeps the air clean. Even ordinary terrestrial beings can live here. The air is as refreshing as in some deep mountains. As Ran activated his spiritual power, the round spirit stones embedded in the ceiling began to emit light. Ran's cave was incredibly large and spacious, with tunnels leading to other places here and there. He laid his massive body in the cave and spoke. If the king commanded you to find me, then it would be better for me to quickly and comfortably teach you. Besides, since you have awakened the consciousness of the demon race, you don't need to learn the special powers I mentioned. First, I should explain a bit about the demon race's language. I listened intently to Ran's explanation. Your human race produces sounds using vocal cords and conveys words by vibrating the air, turning them into language, correct? Yes, that's right. We of the demon race can also make sounds with our voice. However, most of us were animals before gaining spirituality through cultivation. So, even if we talked using the sounds we made as animals, other races wouldn't understand no matter what. But there's a reason why we, the demon race, are collectively known as demon. There's something common among us. Notably, the demon core unique to our race and the consciousness that perceives the circulation of spiritual energy. Whoosh! As Ran raised his forepaw, spiritual energy whirled above it. Realizing he was about to show something important, I reawakened the senses from before. It felt like my head was burning up, but once again, I could see the circulation of Taiji in the flow of heaven and earth. Above Ran's forepaw was the circulation of yin and yang. Many demons have agreed upon this common point. Our common language from now on shall be based on this consciousness. Whoosh whoosh. Ran opened his mouth. Spiritual energy burst from his mouth, drawing numerous Taiji patterns in the air. I heard no sound, nor did I perceive any reaction from the spiritual energy. To an unknowing observer, it would seem like just a slight release of spiritual energy from the mouth. However, I could see it. The spiritual energy whirled and transformed into something. If human speech is conveyed through air as a medium, the demon race's speech is conveyed through spiritual energy. Focusing more on the sense of seeing the circulation of spiritual energy, it seemed like I could hear its sound in my ears. Well, it wasn't exactly hearing or seeing, but more of an intuitive feeling. Strictly speaking, This wasn't visualization at all. And percent. I couldn't understand the meaning, but through it, I was able to hear Seo Ran's voice. It seems you roughly understand. Now, it won't be a problem to teach you some demon language. Seo Ran, realizing I heard his voice, grinned and began teaching me the demon language. Half a year has passed. I earned numerous words and vocabulary in the demon language, as well as the method of speaking it. I became completely familiar with the sense of perceiving the circulation of yin and yang. Now, you can probably read most books without any problems. Thank you, I owe it to you, Seo Hyung. I expressed my gratitude to Seo Ran, who spoke to me using his voice. I had just finished reading a basic cultural book about the demon race given by Seo Ran today. Now you should be able to read the demon beast method given by the king without any problems. There won't be any more confusing vocabulary, so it's safe to read the manual. Thank you. Haha, no need. I'm glad I could fulfill a favor for the king. We exchanged a few words of gratitude. During the conversation, Seo Ran asked me. Actually, fulfilling the king's request was partly because it was from him, but also because I have a favor to ask of you. Would you be willing to help me? Well, if it's Seo Hyung who taught me the demon language, I'll help as much as I can. Thank you. In fact, maybe the king sent you to me because of the issue I'm currently contemplating. About 30 years ago, I discovered a large barrier deep in the Black Wind Sea. Inside that barrier, I found something crucial for my cultivation. However, the barrier can only be broken by combining the powers of the human and demon races, and I haven't met a trustworthy human cultivator to attempt it. He politely asked for my help. If you help me, I'll assist with the method you received from the king. Your bloodline definitely contains that of the human race, so it will be helpful in breaking the barrier. I readily nodded. If you need my help, I should naturally assist. I'm also happy to repay the teachings I received from Seo Hyung. Good, thank you. Then shall we start learning the method right away? I took out the demon beast method I received from Sea Dragon King Seo Hweol. The manual was bound in the hide of some beast. According to Seo Ran, it seems to be the hide of a creature called Crystal Beast. I read the title of this demon beast method. The manual was called Summoning Wind, Dragon Transformation. Translator notes, chapter donated by BTW Stone, Elinis and Kidafin69. Thanks for the support, one more chapter to come. // Discord https://dsc gg/wetread. Link to donations in the Discord. Chapter 65, Violent Storm 5. Translating Novice. Summoning Wind, Dragon Transformation. I read the demon beast method from beginning to end. Whenever I came across an unfamiliar demon script, I asked Seo Ran for clarification, which helped me fully understand the manual. This is completely different from the cultivation methods practiced by humans. Unlike humans who base their practices on the 5 elements, the demon race's methods are based on their inherent primal instincts. It's not about accurately classifying and manipulating the attributes contained in the heavenly and earth spiritual energy. Instead, it involves recklessly absorbing the mixed spiritual energy and then forcibly purifying it within the body, relying on the demon race's primal instincts to control it. That was the foundation of the demon beast methods. As I looked at the technique for indiscriminately absorbing the heaven and earth spiritual energy, I narrowed my eyes. Isn't this similar to internal energy methods? It was exactly that. The aspect of absorbing mixed spiritual energy was no different from a martial artist's internal energy method. The difference lay in the subsequent activation and purification of that energy. If martial artists also activate and purify their internal energy, could they learn demon beast methods like the demon race? Probably not. The enlightenment directly linked to demon beast methods is the sensation of earth, the world of yin and yang. Martial artists who can perceive such things do not exist. Moreover, if a martial artist were to activate such energy within their body, they would literally tear apart and die. It's dangerous. A literal perfect way to die. But it's worth learning. Fortunately, I had enough of a catalyst in my body to activate the energy. Chi refining 13th star, unified origin completed. From this point, one needs to complete Chi refining 14th star, infinite spiritual cloud, and then challenge the Chi building stage. Generally, once someone completes Chi refining 12th star, merging all spiritual meridians into one. They are ready to enter Qi building. From Qi refining 13th star, it's essentially a preparatory stage for Qi building. Seo Ran Hyung, I'm going to seclude myself nearby to learn this method. Alright, I also need to make preparations to break the barrier, so return within 3 years. Leaving Seo Ran's cave to cultivate, I went to a suitable rocky island nearby. After digging a cave to avoid disturbances, I began my first attempt at Qi building along with summoning wind, dragon transformation. Qi refining 13th star, unified origin. A stage where the spiritual power formed in the spiritual meridians is concentrated into a single point in the Danshan. To reach the next stage, infinite spiritual cloud, I needed to activate the point of spiritual power in the Danshan and create a cloud of spiritual power inside. I'll activate the point of unified origin. Boom! A thunderous vibration seemed to come from within the Danshan. Bang! The point of Qi exploded. In that explosion, the energy within the inner core transformed and became purified. But this isn't enough. After the explosion of the origin point, a cloud of spiritual power flew out. Whoosh! Qi refining 14th star. I entered the infinite spiritual cloud stage. With this cloud, rumble, I condense it, continuously condensing the cloud until it reached its limit. And now I challenge Qi building. Flash! A light seemed to ignite inside the Danshan. Then the clouds began to contract. And when the contraction reached a critical point, Qwang! A powerful explosion sounded as if thunder was striking within me. A blast far stronger than before, potentially lethal if it ruptures the Danshan. However, I drew energy from the inner core to prevent the blast from escaping, thereby preventing a lethal explosion. Phew, is it over? The cloud of spiritual power, created by the eruption of the unified origin point, had lost all its energy and vanished. My cultivation, which had soared to Qi refining 14th star for a moment, had returned to the completed level of Qi refining 12th star. I can return to Qi refining 13th star by repeating the circulation of power. But for now, it was a drop in cultivation. My first attempt at Qi building ended in failure. However, whoosh! In the center of the Danshan, due to the tremendous activation during the breakthrough, the power within the inner core became incredibly purified. With this purified energy, I'll utilize the techniques of demon beast methods. The inner core began vibrating. Simultaneously, my consciousness began to tremble in sync with the vibration. According to the technique in the method, I aligned my consciousness with the primal instincts described by the method. Grr rumble. My consciousness transforms. Just as Seo Ran's consciousness covers his body in his own form, my consciousness, which had been enveloping me in a spherical form, began to morph into the shape of a dragon. It's somewhat uncomfortable. After all, it was a human trying to learn the cultivation methods of a demon beast. No matter how careful I am, there is bound to be some disharmony. It feels like wearing clothes that don't fit. But still, after aligning my consciousness with the dragon's primal instincts, I began to manipulate the energy accordingly. Rumble. Spiritual power began to surge outwards. The demon race's methods do not progressively activate the spiritual meridians in an orderly manner. Instead, it recklessly races towards the final form of the method, without caring for anything else. The practitioner's physique must change towards the final form of the method. Rumble. As the surging spiritual power whirls outwards, the spiritual meridians inside my body gradually adapt and change. Once this transformation is complete, I should be able to use some of the abilities described in summoning wind, dragon transformation. I will become much stronger. However, it's excruciatingly painful. Perhaps because it's not meant for humans to learn, every time my spiritual meridians forcibly adapt to summoning wind, dragon transformation, it feels as though they are tearing apart. I grip my teeth. Crack. Inside the cave on the rocky island, as I clench my fists, handprints imprint on the cave walls. Gritting my teeth, I continue to cultivate the method. I'll find the next path, the next realm of martial arts, and a way for someone without talent like me to ascend to Qi building. I will find it no matter what. A year passed. Above the black wind sea, on a certain rocky island, the quiet rocky island began to undergo changes. Creak crack. The island started to shake. Rumble. The vibrations emanating from the island grew stronger, and then, crack. The island began to split. Quang quang quanged. The island shattered, and a dragon's ascension began. From within the island, a powerful whirlwind surged, grinding the island from inside out. Rumble. Black rocks are torn apart and lifted into the air, swirling in all directions. In the middle of the sea, a small whirlwind strikes. Roar. At the center of the whirlwind, there is a shadowy figure. From this being, the whirlwind drew water from the black wind sea into the sky, scattering rain in all directions. At the center of the whirlwind, the shadowy figure inside draws in wind for a while, before moving the whirlwind onto a nearby rocky island. Gradually, the wind dies down, and the figure inside uses the wind to step onto the rocky island. I move my consciousness, feeling the wind that placed me on the rocky island. My consciousness, which had transformed into a form akin to a sea dragon, returned to its spherical shape. This is summoning wind dragon transformation. Literally, a demon beast method that summons wind. I recall a familiar memory, thinking of the ability I had just displayed. Throughout the time I have been learning this method, a sense of déjà vu has been growing, which exploded when I finally used that ability. It was like, isn't this similar to what the Mackley clan uses? The wind attribute spells used by the Mackley clan. They were so similar to this method that it was uncanny. The difference being, unlike the faint devilish aura in the wind called by the Mackley clan, summoning wind, dragon transformation has a ferocious wildness in its winds. That was the difference between summoning wind, dragon transformation, and the wind techniques of the Mackley clan. Come to think of it, most of the Mackley clan spells are related to dragons. I used to think the Mackley clan spells were of the yin attribute. But thinking again, all the spells used by the Mackley clan, the river with the smell of decaying bodies, the whirlwinds where wind dragons and wind phoenixes appear, the spells that cover the sky in dark clouds to bring down rain, they are all related to water and wind. Water and wind. These are powers related to storms. And historically, dragons have been called the tribes of the storm, especially the sea dragon clan, symbolizing the storm of the sea. What is the relationship between the Mackley clan, a devilish clan, and the sea dragon tribe? Also, how is summoning wind, dragon transformation related to the devilish arts of the Mackley clan? Could this demon beast method also be a kind of devilish art? No, it's not a devil path method. Those who have learned devilish arts, especially those from the Mackley clan, emit an unpleasant devilish aura, but I don't feel that here. Still, as soon as I realized the connection between summoning wind, dragon transformation, and the Mackley clan, I felt a certain repulsion. The power is certainly outstanding. It seems to suit me well, unlike other methods such as Earth Surpassing Path, as I achieved it much faster. But still, there's discomfort as if I am wearing ill-fitted clothes, and the connection with the Mackley clan only amplifies this uneasiness. I'm not sure, no point in worrying about it now, better to ask Seo Ran later for a clear explanation. After shaking off these thoughts, I pondered what to do next. Should I go to Seo Ran's cave? Or should I return to the mainland? After all, Seo Ran said it's fine as long as I return within 3 years. I've just barely learned the basic abilities of summoning wind, dragon transformation. Should I go to Seo Ran to receive further guidance and enhance my mastery of the method? Or should I go to the mainland to search for traces of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect in the western mountains of Shangzi during the remaining time? According to Jin Byako, there are some records left by the golden divine heavenly thunder sect in the western mountains of Shangzi. I might find them if I search. What should I do? After pondering for a while, I determined where to spend the remaining 2+ years. Let's head to the mainland. I turned towards Shangzi. Though Seo Ran said the barrier would be safe, it's an unpredictable situation after all. Considering the possibility of losing my life unexpectedly, gathering more information is prudent. Whoosh! As I activate summoning wind, dragon transformation again, my inner core responds, releasing energy. Wind swirls around me, lifting me into the air. I fly north from the Black Wind Sea towards Shangzi. Shangzi is a nation governed by numerous cultivator clans. Because of this, there are many regulations set by these clans that are deeply rooted throughout the country. I found myself caught in one of these numerous rules. In the western capital city of Shangzi, near the western mountains, I was surrounded by several high-level qi refining cultivators in a certain clan's territory. Flying is prohibited. What do you mean? HMPH, didn't you know the laws of Shangzi when you came here? Is that even possible? In various parts of the country, flying is prohibited to prevent large-scale battles among the members of different cultivator clans. Since you violated the rules, you must immediately pay a fine of 100 spirit stones. I asked the stern-looking green-robed man. According to my knowledge, the place where I flew was slightly outside the territory of your clan. Do I still have to pay the fine? HMPH, what are you talking about? The place where you flew was clearly above our clan's territory. If you don't pay the spirit stones, you will have to serve time in our clan's prison. This is preposterous. It's not that I'm completely ignorant of the laws of Shangzi. I've been here in a previous life, so how could I not know? It's true that there are no-fly zones, but the place where I flew was just outside one of these zones. However, this green-robed man is now trying to unfairly impose a fine on me, taking advantage of the fact that I'm a foreigner. I don't have any spirit stones on me right now. Not even the common storage devices that cultivators carry. What should I do? After pondering for a moment, I ask him, what if I can't pay right now, but promise to leave it at the front of my clan? Your clan? At my words, the green-robed man and the other cultivators looked at each other. Aren't you a loose cultivator? No, I belong to clan. Which clan is it? I smile and introduce my clan. The Mackley clan. Silence fell among the crowd at my words. What nonsense! Cultivators of the Mackley clan all wear blue robes, don't they? I had no choice but to come to Shangzi secretly. Secretly? What business does someone from the Mackley clan have in Shangzi to come in secret? I cannot say. It's a clan secret after all. This guy, the more I look, the more suspicious he seems. Pretending to be from the Mackley clan, huh? Pretending? I chuckle lightly. Do you still think it's pretending after seeing this? Rumble. I activate summoning wind, dragon transformation, gathering the wind around me. I am indeed an elder of the Mackley clan. Whoosh! A whirlwind blows around, sweeping up the green-robed cultivators. Oh, this guy, he's attacking us. That's indeed a technique of the Mackley clan. This scoundrel from the Mackley clan is attacking us. Those cultivators, maybe because they were law enforcers of Shangzi, managed to withstand the wind of summoning wind, dragon transformation with their high-level qi refining skills. They even showed signs of counterattacking with other spells. However, this is all a deception. Whoosh! While the whirlwind covers the surroundings and obscures vision, I release a gang sphere from my palm. The gang sphere spins and splits into three, hovering above my hand. Listen well, I am Mackley Hyan, elder of the Mackley clan. Do not block my path. Whoosh! Amidst the dusty wind obscuring everyone's vision, the three gang spheres fly towards the green-robed cultivators at the speed of light. Boom, boom, boom. The gang spheres strike the cultivators' defensive spells and magic artifacts, causing great shock but not killing them. This power. He's a chi-building cultivator, an elder. One of the green-robed cultivators hastily infuses spiritual power into a talisman. Facing the talisman that seems to transmit messages, the green-robed cultivator yells with a pale face. An elder of the chi-building stage from the Mackley clan has infiltrated Shangzi across the border. The Mackley clan of Yangyuo has violated the treaty. Boom! Using the wind, I shake off the cultivators and quickly fly towards the western mountains. Treaty violation. The cultivator clans of Shangzi will formally protest against the Mackley clan. Let them protest. I leave the yelling green-robed cultivators behind and fly through the sky. The western mountains are close. Once I get inside, they won't be able to catch me easily. A protest against the Mackley clan is none of my concern. Flash, flash, flash. Whether it was the effect of the green-robed cultivator's message talisman or not, I saw green lights below starting to chase after me. Those chi-refining cultivators of the clan began to gather below me, forming an unusual formation. From the looks of the formation, it isn't an easy one to deal with. A formation for chi-building cultivators. I pretended to be a chi-building cultivator using the strength of the ultimate pinnacle, but I am only at the extreme level of chi refining. Getting caught in the formation would be troublesome. I can't get caught. Whoosh. Gang chi escapes from my palm. The gang chi splits into 3 and is then reabsorbed into me. Triple acceleration. Flash. My consciousness, transformed into the form of a sea dragon, becomes even more akin a sea dragon, and the wind of summoning wind dragon transformation becomes even stronger. Flash. Wrapped in stronger winds, I fly even faster towards the western mountains. Soon, I am out of the range of the formation set by the chi-refining cultivators. Are the western mountains ahead? I take in the sight of the western mountains, preparing to hide. At that moment, rumble, a fearsome presence is felt from behind. That is, a tingling sensation in my limbs. A chi-building cultivator. Still a dot in the distance, but I know how quickly it will approach. I need to push it a bit. Rumble. I increase the wind speed. The whirlwind surrounding me grows larger, showing its ferocity that connects the sky and the earth. Drip. Blood drips from my mouth. But I ignore it and expand summoning wind, dragon transformation even more. The whirlwind of a chi-building cultivator. A huge dragon's ascension absorbs the surrounding dirt and dust, clouding the area. Puff. I break out of the dragon's ascension and form a hand seal. Rumble. The whirlwind moves. The ashen whirlwind flies towards the chasing chi-building and green-robed cultivators. The chi-building cultivator is startled and quickly casts a spell to counterattack. I wipe the blood from my mouth, concentrating my consciousness. I had excessively forced out spiritual power equivalent to chi-building at the level of chi refining. Such an attack can only be used once, and using the gang sphere might wrongly implicate Kim Young-hoon, who is active in Yangyuo. So I will create a disturbance with this attack and then escape. Swoosh. My sword energy cuts through the air, and my consciousness vanish, concealed by the hidden consciousness technique. Flash. I quickly descend towards the western mountains, forming a hand seal. Earth-surpassing path. Rumble. The earth opens up to receive me. I fall into the ground beneath the western mountains, using the earth-surpassing path. The earth's spiritual energy flowing through the western mountains will maximize my earth-surpassing path. Moreover, Arg, the scum from the Mackley clan. Everyone chase after him. If he's from the Mackley clan, he must have fled into the sky. Their prejudice against the Mackley clan didn't apply to me hiding underground. I hide beneath the ground, watching the chi-building cultivator from the green-robed clan destroy my whirlwind and fly off into the wrong direction in the sky, and wipe off the remaining blood from my mouth. Now, let's go find the records of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. A few months later, I found the archive at Shattered Heaven Peak in the Western Mountains, where Jin Byuk-ho mentioned the records of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect were located. Indeed, what is the relationship between the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect and the Ascension Gate? Creak. I open the door of the archive and enter. Translator notes, chapter donated by Kidafin69 and Asylums. Thanks for the support. // Discord https://dsc gg/wetread. Link to donations in the Discord.